Chapter 793. Wu Yen felt uneasy when he heard Astria, Toka, and Flandre-chan's conversation. These three girls couldn't really be planning to treat the ball as a banquet, and then have a period of inhumane eating and drinking, right? Thinking of this, Wu Yen couldn't stay calm anymore. He can already imagine how the three girls would look at them as if they are magical beasts and country bumpkins if they are allowed to do as they please. Wu Yen stopped Astria and Toka, who were about to rush to the table. He chuckled and he asked them in a careful tone, Are you girls hungry already?" Astria and Toka blinked and rubbed their stomachs. They nodded in unison. "Yeah, I'm hungry." Cold sweat dripped down Wu Yan's forehead. He couldn't keep his cool anymore. These two natural foodies, if left alone, today's ball would definitely become a joke. Wu Yen turned to Shoujo and Kotori for help. He hoped they could help him. Shoujo and Kotori were also imagining Astria and Toka eating and drinking. Their mouths twitched. They couldn't keep their cool anymore. Shoujo sighed and walked over. She pressed down on Astria's shoulder. "Astria-chan, can you bear with it for the time being?" "Sigh. Sigh," Astria complained. "Why? Why? There's no reason," Shoujo said with a troubled expression. "But if you do this, Yen will be troubled." "Is that so?" Astria flinched and she looked at Wu Yen with a pitiful expression. She looked like an abandoned puppy. "Master, am I bothering you?" Toka sucked on her finger and she looked at Wu Yen with a pitiful expression. Wu Yen cursed inwardly when he saw the teary eyes of the two beauties. He also felt his scalp tingling. Wu Yen raised his hand weakly. "It's not bothering me." "Not bothering you?" Toka's expression immediately brightened. "Then can we go eat now?" I. Wu Yan's back was drenched in cold sweat. He didn't know what to do. Kotori turned around and smiled. "What Onii-san means is, since you two are hungry, he wants to cook for you when we get back." Kotori grinned. The eyes of the two gluttons lit up as they looked at Wu Yen in anticipation. "Really?" "Of course it's real." Kotori grinned mischievously. She glanced at Wu Yen and she teased him. "Don't you think so? My cute Onii-san." "Ahaha!" Wu Yen laughed dryly. He looked like he aged 10 years as he slumped his shoulders. He knew Kotori wasn't just trying to restrain the two girls who might get out of hand. She was trying to get back at him for forcing a kiss on her this morning. No matter what, it's still better than letting the two girls go out and cause trouble. Wu Yen could only nod helplessly. "Yeah." Wu Yen rubbed Astria and Toka's head. "I will cook for you two when we get back. Until then, can you guys bear with it?" "Okay." Aha. The two girls nodded their heads without any hesitation. They aren't picky eaters, but Wu Yan's cooking is different in their hearts. It's not just because it's delicious, it's also because he's the one who made it. "Onii-san. Flan wants it too." Flandre-chan hugged Wu Yan's leg in jealousy. Me too." Yoshino tugged at Wu Yan's sleeve. "Era." Kurumi smiled shyly. "I miss Onii-sama's cooking too." "Well then." Kotori smirked. "Count me in as well." Humph. Hinagiku didn't say anything. She only hummed twice, but the silence spoke louder than words. Looking at this and then looking at that, he didn't know what to say. Behind him, a soft and strong hand pulled at the corner of his shirt. He didn't need to look back. He can already imagine what kind of gaze Ikaros is looking at him with right now. Wu Yen got the gist of it. Today is his day of suffering. At this moment, Hinagiku retracted her smile and looked ahead. Yen, Everyone stopped fooling around when they saw Shoujo's expression. They followed Shoujo's gaze. Wu Yan's lips curved into a smile when he saw the scene. A handsome young man in luxurious feathered robes with a crown on his head walked towards them with a group of people who looked like guards and subordinate. He had an elegant smile on his face when he saw Wu Yan's group. Even his eyes were shining. No, to be more precise, He wasn't looking at Wu Yan's group. He was looking at Ikaros alone. It's been a while since they last met, Kaya. Everyone. Long time no see. Kaya walked up to Wu Yan's group and placed his hand on his left chest. It was a very noble gesture. I heard you would be attending the ball as well. I was very excited. You flatter me. Wu Yan scratched his cheeks and he shrugged. He didn't mince his words. I believe Prince Kaya knows that it's unreasonable for us to attend this ball. The people behind Kaya all looked at each other, feeling strange. After all, to them, being able to participate in this ball was a rare honor, yet the person in front of them said this as if he didn't care at all. Kaya, on the other hand, smiled after a momentary pause. Sir Wu Yan is as straightforward as ever. However, I don't think you all lack the qualifications to attend this ball. Kaya may be a little far from here, but I've heard of your lively performances in the Behemoth Forest many times. After that, Ka turned around and looked at the quiet Ikaros. The splendor from earlier once again shone in his eyes. Especially Miss Ikaros. Kaya didn't expect Miss Ikaros to be a noble Tier 9 fighter. This is too shocking. This was the truth. When he first heard that Ikaros was a Type 9 powerhouse, Kaya even doubted his own ears. After confirming that this information was correct, Kaya's heart was filled with shock, followed by an even more fervent love. He already had feelings for Ikaros back in the Spalier World Academy. Now that he knows Ikaros' true strength, his feelings for her deepened. Perhaps in his heart, the more outstanding his sweetheart, the better. Ikaros lifted her head and she looked at Kaya. Then, she returned her gaze to Wu Yan. She continued in a soft voice. I am only trying to protect Master. Kaya's smile froze, and his smile became somewhat forced. Is that so? Sir Wu Yan sure is blessed. Kaya himself didn't realize there was a tinge of jealousy in his voice when he said that. Shoujo, Kotori, Kurumi and the rest exchanged glances before shaking their heads and laughing. They're not laughing at Kaya being jealous, they're laughing at him for being pitiful. If someone were to ask them if they love Wu Yan, their first answer would be yes. But if someone were to ask them if they love Wu Yan the most, no matter how unwilling they are, they wouldn't say they love Wu Yan the most. Because in this world, no matter which world, there will only be one person who loves Wu Yan the most. That's the girl in front of them who hasn't taken her eyes off Wu Yan for even a second, the girl who gave her heart and soul to Wu Yan. Only Ikaros has the right to say that the one who loves Wu Yan the most is her. Kaya is just a pitiful person. Chapter 794. Ka didn't express his intentions too obviously. He suppressed his urge to talk to Ikaros and started chatting with Wu Yan's group. Not only Ka, even Bing Ling, Bishi, Jaffer, and other youngsters from major factions came over to chat with Wu Yan. It's not because they are familiar with Wu Yan's group, it's mainly because of Ikaros and Flandrachan's relationship with this small group. They wanted to make friends with them, they wanted to test them, they wanted to come over and greet them. Wu Yan is very impatient with these people coming to find him. After all, he doesn't like this kind of hypocritical pleasantries. But, he didn't go overboard. After all, it's a ball after all, it's necessary to have some exchanges. Luckily, this isn't the first time Wu Yan has experienced this kind of situation, so he handled it with ease. He said what should be said and didn't say what shouldn't be said. His choice of words was also quite appropriate. Shoujo, Kotori, and Kurumi were surprised to see Wu Yan like this. In their minds, Wu Yan wasn't someone who couldn't appear in big events, but he wasn't good at it either. They didn't expect him to look like this. It seems like the 3 years of dungeon exploration didn't just change his strength. Of course, the girls didn't just stand there and do nothing. Each of them is famous in Silveria World Institute. With their outstanding looks and strength, there were plenty of people who came to chat with them. Other than Ikaros, Astria, Toka, Flandrachan, and Yoshino, Hinajuku, Kotori, and Kurumi are all doing the same thing as Wu Yan. They're all here to chat with the girls who came to chat with them. In a short while, It actually caused this place to become unusually lively. It has to be said that the three girls' performance in this situation is in no way inferior to Wu Yan's. Hinajuku is the student council president of Hakuo Academy. As the king of popularity in a noble academy, her magnanimous temperament won the praises of many. Kotori was the commander of Ratatosk. She was even more at home than Shoujo in this situation. The nobles who looked down on her due to her petite appearance were surprised. They even looked at Kotori in a different light. As for Kurumi, needless to say, even though her heart was as pure as an elf's, her nature was much closer to that of a human's due to her dark experiences. Moreover, her elegant cultivation made her seem like a rich young lady. She spoke with ease and became a rare sight at the ball. After the ball, the girls had already become the focus of attention. The surrounding male participants frequently shifted their gazes towards them, and groups of them tried to strike up a conversation. Perhaps, in their hearts, the young girls had already become the target of their pursuit. However, it's fine if they think about it, but if they want to put it into action, they'll have to consider how important they are. While the ball is in full swing, a bright light flashed across the room. At a certain moment, a dazzling magical light shone at the front of the entire ball and shone on a staircase. At the same time, the surrounding lights gradually dimmed. Along with that, everyone's voices became calm and gentle. Wu Yan's group finally broke away from the endless social interaction. They looked forward. The main character is here, Kotori muttered. Everyone's heart started beating faster. What's the purpose of this ball? They'll find out soon enough. Under everyone's gaze, the crowned Ailu Emperor slowly walked out of the staircase under the illumination of the magic lanterns. Princess Sylph was also wearing an ice-blue princess dress. She held the Emperor's arm and appeared in front of everyone. Many young people's eyes lit up when they saw her. Wu Yan focused his gaze on the Emperor. This is the first time Wu Yan is seeing the Emperor in person. Back at the top of the arena tower, Wu Yan only saw a projection of the Emperor. Now that the Emperor is standing in front of him, Wu Yan couldn't help but activate the system's perception. Kate, Ailu, level 85. As expected, Wu Yan took a deep breath. Level 85. Aside from Yukari, this is the highest level player Wu Yan has seen so far. The Emperor of Ailu, Carter, seemed to be in his 40s. Judging from his appearance, he was only a few years older than Lar, which made him quite young. To be able to reach the 9th rank at such a young age, it was no wonder he was the emperor of an empire. Of course, Kite's real age was definitely a lot older than his appearance. The higher one's strength, the higher the quality of his do-chi and mana. His body would be nourished day by powerful do-chi and mana, making it harder and harder for people to age. Kite's age should be about 10 years older than his appearance, roughly 50 years old, but this was already very astonishing. Remember, Lei Wang, who is also a rank 9, is already in his 70s or 80s. He's also a rank lower than Kate. That's enough to explain a lot. Kate sensed Wu Yan's gaze and looked at Wu Yan. When their eyes met, Wu Yan's lips curled into a smile. Wu Yan didn't avoid Kate's gaze. He nodded at Kate and applauded with the crowd. Because of this, Wu Yan didn't notice that Kate is looking at him with a slightly different gaze. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this ball. When Carter opened his mouth, the lights in the surroundings were restored. However, the people present did not restore their voices. Instead, they quietly waited for Carter to open his mouth again. Kate nodded and said, "Although I'd like everyone to enjoy the ball, there's something I need to announce first. It's here." Everyone held their breaths and looked at Kate, including Wu Yan's group. Kate clapped his hand. Sylph, who was standing beside him, stepped forward and stood next to him. Her long, ice-blue hair was accentuated by her princess dress. It was as if she was adorned with stars and moonlight. Her cold expression didn't ruin her beauty at all. Instead, it made her face even more alluring and mesmerizing. "This is my daughter, Sylph. Kate had a doting expression on her face. She held Sylph's hand and said proudly, "I'm sure everyone here knows who Sylph is, right?" Sylph used to be the strongest student in Spalier World Academy. She held that position for several years. Due to Wu Yan's group's interference, she's no longer the strongest student in the academy. There are a few people stronger than her, but that didn't stop her from shining brightly. That's why Kite's tone was filled with pride. Sylph was his most beloved daughter in his later years. She was also talented and powerful. She was able to suppress the leaders of the other two empires in Silveria World Institute and become the strongest. Kite was very pleased with her achievement. However, Kate's prideful expression softened a little. It was replaced with pity. Facing everyone, Kite smiled and said, "Today I called everyone here to announce." Kite's gaze slowly shifted to the person below, and a glint flashed across his eyes. That person was none other than Wu Yan. Wu Yan frowned when he saw Kate's gaze. He had a bad feeling about this. Kate's next words confirmed his suspicions. "It's him. Wu Yan." Kate pointed at Wu Yan. Her voice echoed in everyone's ears. "He will be Sylph's fiancé." Chapter 795. Wu Yan was stunned. The other girls were stunned as well. Everyone in the room was stunned by what they heard. That shocking speech was like an echo. Even after a few seconds, it was still reverberating in the air. It was repeated over and over again into everyone's ears, giving them a dreamlike feeling that was hard to believe. Wu Yan looked at the stunned Wu Yan, and then at the emotionless Sylph. Everyone felt like they were about to go crazy. Are you sure the two of them are compatible? It's also because of this that these people who have seen a lot of big events were shocked by Carter's statement. It's not that they are mentally weak, but the contrast is too great. They couldn't believe that the famous ice princess in front of them would become the fiancée of the recently famous Wu Yan. This is too sudden. Regardless of how sudden it is, Carter's statement is proof that he is telling the truth. Words of gold and jade are equally suitable for the ruler of an empire in the Spalier world. However, when they realized that this was the reason why Carter organized this ball, everyone's heart skipped a beat. They looked at Carter with a pensive gaze. Sylph is an excellent person and is popular in the Ailu Empire's imperial family. However, it's a bit exaggerated to gather all 12 of the continent's top factions for a ball just to celebrate her marriage. In the past, a ball of this nature was supposed to announce something. At the very least, the emperor of an empire or one of the three great houses was replaced. Only then would a ball of this nature be held. The ball was supposed to announce the change in power structure to the entire world. The marriage of an empire's princess is a big deal. Isn't it a bit too much to make an announcement at a ball like this? Unless, of course, Wu Yan becoming Sylph's fiancé has other implications. For example, Kate is planning to marry Sylph to Wu Yan in order to pass the throne to Wu Yan. That's another matter altogether. But is that even possible? As far as they know, before today, Carter and Wu Yan didn't interact at all. Even if Carter paid attention to him due to his mysterious identity, he wouldn't give the throne to an outsider. It's not like Carter doesn't have a son. He might not be famous, but it's still better than an outsider. In other words, Carter has other considerations. Could it be he wants to use Wu Yan as a link to rope in the two Tier 9 individuals? He also wants to rope in the demigod powerhouse, Yakumo Yuko. With that thought in mind, Kaya, Safa, and the others, even the patriarchs of the great clans, such as Lars, all had serious expressions on their faces. If that's the case, the entire Spalier world's power structure will change. No, no, no. Absolutely not. On Lars' side, Lulu's small face was filled with panic. Even her face was somewhat pale, and there was a teardrop in the corner of her eye. How can this be? This is too sudden. Feifei's brows furrowed tightly. She looked at Wu Yan and the others who are still in a daze. Her expression darkened. Feifei. Lulu grabbed Feifei's hand. Her pale face was covered in sweat. What should I do? Lar and Feifei smiled bitterly when they heard Lulu's words. Even an idiot can tell that Lulu likes Wu Yan. It's ironic that they were just discussing the relationship between Wu Yan and Lulu. They didn't expect the topic to change to someone else's fiancé. It's too dramatic. Unlike Lar and the others, Hughes looked excited. If Wu Yan really became Sylph's fiancé, he would be the happiest one of all, but he's sure to be one of the happiest ones. Lar looked at Lulu, who was on the verge of collapsing. He smiled bitterly and patted her shoulder. Lilu, don't worry. Look at the little guy's expression. I don't think he knows about this. Let's not jump to conclusions. Is that so? Lulu completely lost her composure. She only calmed down when she saw Wu Yan's stunned expression. Feifei couldn't help but smile bitterly. It's not that Wu Yan doesn't have any women around him. In fact, he has a lot of them. All of them are outstanding. None of them are inferior to Sylph. Lulu also knows about this. She also knows that Wu Yan's relationship with Shoujo and the others isn't as simple as normal companions. In the past, Lulu didn't care about this matter at all. She didn't expect her to be so anxious today. Perhaps in Lulu's naive heart, she can accept it because she has a good relationship with Shoujo and the others. However, Sylph is just a stranger to Lulu. That's why her reaction is so big. Feifei can only think of it this way. She also needs to use this excuse to hide her irritation. On the other hand, Wu Yan finally reacted to the murderous glares of the women. His forehead was covered in sweat. Aren't you going to explain yourself? Hinajiku's face was as black as charcoal. Not just her, even Kotori's face was a little unhappy. Ikarosa's eyes were also a little shaken. As for Toka, if Kurumi didn't cover her mouth, she would have already made a scene. Wait, let me clear my thoughts. Wu Yan shook his head in confusion. I don't know what's going on either. Shoujo and Kotori both frowned. Wu Yan has never been separated from them other than when he's in a dungeon. It's impossible for him to have sex with Sylph behind their back. Even if it's possible, Sylph's cold personality wouldn't do such a thing. Kotori's expression changed. It seems like Senpai Feifei was right. The Ailu Empire has other intentions towards us. Sylph is probably just a cover. Shoujo gritted her teeth and looked at Wu Yan. What do you plan to do next? Wu Yan rubbed his brows. He looked around. Kate's words made him the center of attention. Everyone is looking at him, including Kate and Sylph. They are waiting for him to make a decision. Carter looked at Wu Yan's disheveled appearance, and he smiled before opening his mouth again. I know this announcement is a little sudden. I didn't discuss it with the person in question. Many people cursed in their hearts. How dare you announce it without discussing it with the person in question? Aren't you afraid of losing face? Little fellow, although my daughter's temperament is a little cold, but in other aspects it shouldn't be to the extent that you don't like her, right? Kite smiled and said, Before this, there were many people who proposed marriage to me, but I couldn't bear to agree. Now that I've decided to marry her to you, my heart is still aching. So, little fellow, give me an answer here. Are you willing to be Sylph's fiancé? Carter's words caused everyone to look at Wu Yan again. Wu Yan smiled bitterly when he sensed the mixed emotions in their gazes. Kite was a sly old fox. How could she refuse him when he said that she was in pain? Wouldn't I be offending the entire Ailu Empire if I refuse? Wu Yan could feel his brows starting to hurt, but he still took a step forward after thinking for a bit. Your Majesty! Wu Yan took a deep breath to calm everyone down, including Shoujo and the others. Should I agree or not? Should I agree or not? Many people already had an answer in their hearts. If they were in his shoes, they would have agreed without hesitation. A girl with super talent, super beautiful appearance, and super strong background was going to marry him? Is there even a need to think about it? However, Wu Yan's next words shattered their thoughts. I'm sorry. I can't agree. Chapter 797. And so, the ball came to an end amidst the cheers of the guests. At least, that's what it looks like on the surface. After Kate's announcement, it was up to the participants to decide what to do after they returned home. That was their own business. In their minds, Wu Yen and Sylph's engagement is just a way to rope in Yakumo, Ikaros, Flandre-chan, and the others. They believe that Wu Yen and his party would be tempted by any faction. Even though the ball is over, Wu Yen, the main character of the ball, stayed behind. It's not only because of Kite's invitation but also because he has a lot of questions in his mind. In the palace, Kite sat on a chair at the front of the room. Next to him is Sylph, who has changed into an ice-blue robe. Wu Yen, Shoujo, Kotori, Kurumi, and the others are facing each other in silence. They've been like this for quite some time now. Kite sipped his tea leisurely and smiled at Sylph, who was pouring tea for him. He glanced at the silent Wu Yen and the others and shook his head. He finally opened his mouth. "I know you have a lot of questions." Kite lowered his head. He sighed and said to Wu Yen, "Ask me anything you want, I will answer you if I can." Wu Yen lowered his head and he exchanged glances with Hinajuku and Kotori. The two girls nodded and he looked at Kite, who had an indiscernible expression on his face. He took a step forward. "If that's the case, I won't hide it any longer." Wu Yen pursed his lips. He looked at the expressionless Sylph and asked Kite in a serious tone. "Your Majesty, can you tell me why Princess Sylph is engaged to me?" "I didn't think you'd ask me that directly. Don't tell me you're not attracted to Sylph at all?" Kate chuckled. "Well," Wu Yen scratched his cheek. "It's not that I'm not attracted to her. It's just that I've never wanted to be with Princess Sylph. After all, we haven't interacted much." "That's not a problem at all," Kite said nonchalantly. "How many marriages do you think there are in the upper echelons of society? If it was someone else, they would have accepted regardless of whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. Sylph's looks were outstanding and her strength was outstanding. She's also the pearl of an empire. Her appearance, power, and background are all amazing. Indeed, if it was someone else, they would have accepted Kite's proposal. Even if they had nothing to do with Sylph, they would have accepted it with joy. Unfortunately, Wu Yen isn't one of them. He has no shortage of beautiful girls around him. All of them are girls he brought out from his favorite 2D world. In his heart, they are much better than Sylph, not to mention their strength. None of the girls around him are weaker than Sylph. As for background, if he wants one, he can rely on the system and his own abilities to create one that is on par with Sylph. Although it won't be that easy, she won't be weak by any means. In short, what Kite is trying to say might be attractive to others but not to Wu Yen. Indeed, there are almost no men in this world who would refuse such a good thing. Wu Yen shrugged. Almost no doesn't mean there aren't any. I don't deny Princess Sylph's excellence, but that doesn't seem to be a good enough reason for your Majesty to agree to her marriage. Why do you say that? Kite calmly said. I'm sure you understand your value. It's not strange for me to use a marriage to entice you, right? Wu Yen and the others are all above Tier 8. Ikaros and Flandre-chan are even stronger. There's also the elusive demigod Yakumo Yukari, who has a close relationship with them. Who wouldn't want to rope in such a small group? Ikaros, Astria, and Flandre-chan are considered normal humans. Most importantly, they are all very young. Ikaros, Astria, and Flandre-chan are considered normal humans. Yet, all of them manage to surpass Tier 8. Ikaros, Flandre-chan, and Flandre-chan have a high chance of becoming demigods in the future. With such potential, if they could rope them in, then no matter which power it was, they would not hesitate to pay a huge price. But I don't think your Majesty will agree to this marriage, just because of that. Wu Yen raised his head and stared at Kite. I don't know Princess Sylph that well, but I don't think she will agree to a marriage without meaning. If she doesn't agree, Your Majesty, you won't force her, right? Of course I won't, Kate yelled without hesitation. Wu Yen and Ko had a weird look on their faces when they realized that their actions were a bit exaggerated. Seeing this, he coughed dryly and pretended to be serious as he took a sip of tea. If Sylph doesn't agree, I won't force her no matter what. Wu Yen went silent again. Sylph's cold expression thawed a little. She looked at Kite with more respect. Kotori, who was standing behind Wu Yen, suddenly spoke up when the crowd was about to descend into another round of silence. In that case, can we assume that Princess Sylph was the one who agreed to the marriage and even suggested it herself? Wu Yen, Kate, and the other girls' expressions changed. Wu Yen had a look of disbelief on his face. Kate looked at Kotori with admiration. The other girls looked at Sylph with caution and disbelief. Sylph was the only one who didn't show any signs of disbelief. "Not bad, little girl. You're quite quick-witted," Kite said with a smile. Kotori was a little annoyed when Kite called her a little girl, but she remained patient. "Then, it's about time you tell us your true intentions, right?" Kotori's impolite words froze the air around them. Kite and Sylph looked at Wu Yen and the others. After a while, Kite sighed. "Little guy." Kite looked at Wu Yen with an indecipherable gaze. He then looked down at Wu Yan's hand. "Can you let me have a look at that ring?" "Ring?" Wu Yen and the others asked in unison. They then looked down at Wu Yan's hand. There is indeed a ring on his hand. It's a pure white ring. It's the ring he obtained from the treasure hunt. It's the ring that represents authority. Wu Yen recalled Sylph's strange reaction towards his ring when he was investigating the Beast King in the Behemoth Forest. Since then, Sylph treated him like a stranger, but now, her gaze towards him has changed. Could it be that all these changes are due to this ring? If that's the case... Wu Yen looked at Kite and Sylph, who were still staring at the ring. He narrowed his eyes. If Kate and Sylph's strange behavior and today's wedding were all because of this ring, then he's about to come into contact with a very big secret. Wu Yen didn't forget the description of the 3 rings he got from the treasure hunting ground, including the Ring of Authority. The box containing the rings described the 3 rings to him. You can get as much gold as the whole world. You can get as much power as the whole world. You can get as much power as the whole world. Chapter 798. With these 3 rings, if he could obtain the things described on the box, then the price of these 3 rings would be unimaginably high. Too bad Wu Yen didn't get the things described on the box when he got the 3 rings, because there were some words written on the box. On the box representing authority was written, "Successor, this is an indestructible ordinary ring, not a space ring. However, with this ring, the entire Ailu Empire is yours. You have the right to rule the empire." On the box representing power was written, "Successor, this is indeed a space ring. If you can open it, you will be able to rule the entire Spalier world. Do you want to open it? Go to the Ailu Empire's king. He will tell you everything." The words on the ring box that represented the gold coin read, "Successor, do you want my treasure? If you want it, I can give it to you. Go find the key. I have placed all my treasures in this ring." At first, Wu Yen didn't believe the words on the box. At that time, he was only a Tier 7 fighter. Even though he could be considered a strong fighter in the Spalier world, he was still at the bottom of the strong fighters list. The things written on these 3 rings were too far away for him, but now, touching the ring representing authority on his finger, Wu Yan's mind raced. From Carter's words, it's obvious that he knows about this ring. In other words, what was written on the box that contained the ring was most likely true. Then, the implications are huge. Just the fact that the Ring of Authority can give him the right to rule the entire Ailu Empire is already a big deal. Even though Wu Yen didn't think Carter would give him the right to rule the entire Ailu Empire with just 1 ring, Wu Yen didn't really care about authority. What he really cared about was if the words written on the box were real. Then, on the box representing power was written, "Go to the Ailu Empire's king. He will tell you everything." What does that mean? He pondered for a moment. Under everyone's gaze, Wu Yen removed the ring of authority from his finger and tossed it to Kite. Kate and Sylph panicked when they saw the ring of authority flying towards them. Kate threw away the teacup in her hand and hurriedly caught the ring. She heaved a sigh of relief when she felt the cold temperature of the ring. She glared at Wu Yen. "Bastard! Do you really have to throw it?" Carter cursed angrily in front of Wu Yen and the others' dumbfounded expressions. "What if you accidentally break it?" That. Wu Yen chuckled awkwardly and he raised his hand carefully. "Is that something that can be broken so easily?" "Humph!" Kite snorted coldly. Even Sylph had a displeased look on her face. Everyone could tell that this ring has a special meaning to it. She retracted her gaze from Wu Yen. Kite stared at the ring of authority on his finger. His eyes trembled as he caressed the ring. The more he caressed it, the more excited he became. It's right. Kite said excitedly. "This is the ring of authority." "The ring of authority?" Wu Yen looked at Shoujo, the only one who went to the treasure hunt with him before. Shoujo shook her head. She didn't understand what he meant. Wu Yen hesitated for a moment and asked Kite, "Your Majesty, do you recognize this ring?" Kite's hand stopped caressing the ring. His expression calmed down. He smiled bitterly when he heard Wu Yan's question. "Of course I recognize it. This belongs to the Ailu Empire." "Originally." Kotori frowned. "Can you explain?" Kite calmed down but his grip on the ring tightened. He looked like he was struggling. Wu Yen and the others frowned. They looked at Kite and waited for him to continue. Sylph seemed to know why Kite was acting like this. She sighed and remained silent. Due to Kate's strange behavior, the atmosphere in the room gradually turned heavy. Everyone was silent and their eyes were fluctuating. No one knew what they were thinking about until Kate closed his eyes and said something to Wu Yen. "Little guy, if I want this ring from you, would you be willing to give it to me?" Wu Yan's expression hardened and his face slowly turned dark. "But," he quickly smiled. "Before that, can you explain to me what's going on?" "Explain? Kate smiled bitterly. "That's true. But after I explain, you probably won't agree to transfer the ring of authority." Kite stood up and walked to the wall with his back facing Wu Yen and the others. "Do you know who the founder of the Ailu Empire is?" "Founder?" "The founder of the empire." Hinagiku thought for a bit and said with uncertainty, "Is it one of the 4 gods of Silveria, the one called Ailu?" Yes. Carter turned around and nodded solemnly. "He is the Ailu god who named this empire after himself. He is also the ancestor of the Ailu Empire's imperial family." "Gods!" Wu Yen and Ko exchanged glances with Sylph. They couldn't help but feel a little shaken. Gods are existences that strike fear into the hearts of the people in any world. They might not feel anything when they're not real, but when they're real, they can strike fear into the hearts of the people even if they don't want to. It's not a matter of courage, it's a matter of subconsciously revering God. Carter was the same. However, while he was wavering, there was also a bit of fanaticism. His voice was accompanied by this fanaticism as it echoed in everyone's ears. Once upon a time, the Spalier world gave birth to 4 gods that surpassed demigod. The first god who named this world after himself, Silveria, and the other 3 gods who named their empires after themselves, Ailu, Balba, and Fair. The power of the gods is not something we can imagine. Even the few demigods in this world don't know how strong the gods are. Since ancient times, demigods have been rare, but there has never been a gap in the number of demigod. Every era has a few demigods standing at the peak of the world. But there are only 4 gods. Kite raised his head and looked at Wu Yen with a burning gaze. "Do you know why?" Wu Yen felt a heavy weight in his heart. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on him, suffocating him. Wu Yen knew he was about to learn the highest level of secret in this world. It's a secret that not even a tier 8 can know. Even a tier 9 can't. Hugging his heavy heart, Wu Yen slowly shook his head. This wasn't out of Kite's expectations, but he still bitterly smiled. That's because it's impossible to ascend to the celestial rank through cultivation alone. Cultivation can't ascend to the celestial rank. The room was filled with confused voices. Kotori couldn't help but ask, "Don't you think your words are contradictory? If cultivation can't ascend to the celestial rank, how did the four gods come into existence?" Kite shook his head. "I only said that cultivation can't ascend to the celestial rank. I didn't say there's no other way." "Other way?" Wu Yen took a deep breath to suppress his wavering heart. "You're saying we need to rely on external forces to ascend to the celestial rank?" "You're right. You guessed right," Kite praised with a smile. However, his smile was rather forced, causing everyone to fall silent. Chapter 799. There are all sorts of reasons why humans are so ambitious, but at the end of the day there is only one goal: to become stronger. As the saying goes, there is no end to learning, and there is no end to martial arts. The former may be true, but the latter has a certain limit, because everyone's possibilities are limited. If someone has good talent, it will naturally be easier and smoother to walk the path. If someone has bad talent, even if there is no end to it, it will be the end. Of course, in addition to this, hard work is also quite important. At the very least, in this world, there is an end to the world. That is the God rank. The path to the end of the world is fraught with difficulties, but there are also those with great perseverance and tenacity. There are always a few special people in this world who have the ability to reach the end of the world and become a god. Becoming a god, that is a distant concept. However, there are people who have succeeded. This proves that it is not impossible. Because of this, humans have been constantly struggling on the path to the top, braving the wind and rain to advance, crossing one obstacle after another, all for the sake of one day standing at the peak. Now, Carter is saying that it is impossible to become a god by relying on physical strength. To those who were constantly struggling on the path to godhood, this was simply too cruel. With the system, there is no bottleneck. As long as one fights, one can ascend to the next realm. Wu Yen, Shoujo, Kotori, Kurumi, and the others can't understand how cruel this is. However, looking at Carter and Sylph's resentful faces, they know it is painful. Who doesn't want to reach the peak? Wu Yen closed his eyes, giving Carter some time to catch his breath. When Carter's complexion recovered, he asked, "Then, what do you need to become a god?" "What? Things?" Carter panted and said absent-mindedly, "It's not impossible to call it things." "What do you mean?" "What I mean is, I don't know if it counts as a thing or not," Carter said in an annoyed tone. "My ancestor left some things in the Ailu Empire's imperial family, but there are only 3 words to describe the necessities of becoming a god. The power of a god, the power of a god." Wu Yen and the others were stunned. Kite nodded. "According to the records, one must first reach the end of the demigod level, which is the pinnacle of the demigod level, in other words, the peak of the demigod level. After reaching the pinnacle of the demigod realm, the human body can begin to contain the power of divinity. Through absorbing the power of divinity, along with the body's metamorphosis, the barrier of the realm will begin to melt. At that time, the pinnacle of the demigod realm can attempt to break through. Once I succeed, that is to become a god. If it fails, the divine power will dissipate completely. And without the power of God." Kite shook his head and sighed. "In that case, becoming a god is a luxury." Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but sigh. Kotori had already sucked on the jewel. Usually, she would either be bored or use the jewel to stimulate her brain. Obviously, the latter was the case right now. She said, "Is it because there is no more divine power in this world, because there is no more divine power?" Unexpectedly, Kite shook his head in denial. "No. I can't say that the divine power is gone." Kite returned to his seat and picked up his teacup, but he didn't drink it. He looked around at Wu Yen and the other girls and slowly began to explain. As it turns out, the divine power didn't exist in the first place. Legend has it that many years ago, the first demigod in the Spalier world, Silveria, discovered a place by accident when he was still a demigod. In that place, there existed something that he had never seen before in all his years of roaming the continent. Out of curiosity, he carried this thing with him and continued his journey across the continent. Until one day, he reached the peak of the human realm, which was the peak of the demigod realm. Perhaps it was because of his intuition, but Silverier knew that at this point, he would not be able to advance any further. This was the end of his life. In fact, the peak demigods before him were all like this. Reaching the peak demigod level was the limit. Silveria also accepted his fate. There was nothing he could do. This was the limit of what a human could reach. Even if he wanted to reach a higher level, his growth had already stopped. No matter how hard he tried, he wouldn't be able to make any progress. Without the possibility of growth, how could he reach a higher level? It was at this moment that the unknown existence on Silveria's body that he carried with him caused his own realm to begin to stir. Perhaps it was an accident, or perhaps it was a gamble, but Silveria absorbed the unknown existence into his body. With that, Silveria surpassed human existence and became the first demigod in the Spalier world. Since then, the thing that could help a demigod realm expert reach the demigod realm was named divine power. For some reason, the existence of divine power started to leak out. Other demigods realm experts came to the place where divine power was found, but they all returned empty-handed. They didn't find divine power at all. Of course, there were also lucky people who discovered divine energy. However, obtaining divine energy didn't mean that one would definitely become a god. It only meant that one had a chance to break through. Whether one could break through or not still depended on oneself. Even so, having a chance was better than never being able to break through. Therefore, once someone reached the peak of the demigod realm, they would come here in search of divine energy. After that, Ailu, Balba, and Phil, the three peak demigod realm experts, followed Silveria and came to this place. By chance, they obtained the power of God. With the help of the power of God, they successfully broke through and became God realm experts, reaching the true end realm. Thus, the four most famous demigods in the Spalier world were born. The three empires of the Spalier world were also born. It didn't matter if they could break through or not. It was a fact that divine power could give humans a chance to reach the demigod realm. After all, there were already 4 living examples. Those demigods realm experts who couldn't break through became crazier and crazier. Just like that, divine power became the most valuable treasure in the Spalier world. As the saying goes, there is no limit to a person's greed. It was the same even after becoming a demigod. One of the demigods in the Spalier world became greedy and tried to take divine power for himself. He wanted to cultivate a demigod realm expert for his own faction. The other 2 empires couldn't just let him do as he pleased. Thus, a conflict began. In order to fight for the right to own divine power, the demigods of the 3 empires fought. In the end, the only demigod without any faction, Silveria, was dragged into the conflict. The 4 demigods started a chaotic battle. What kind of concept was this? Every demigod was terrifyingly powerful. In that kind of situation, the place where divine power existed was naturally destroyed. It was also at this time that they dug out a secret. The place that lost divine power didn't lose divine power because the real source of divine power didn't come from that place. It was buried under that terrain. It was a weapon that was born from the heavens. It had super strong power. It could turn a one-on-one battle between demigods into a one-sided battle. The demigod who had it could easily defeat another demigod. It could even withstand the combined forces of the remaining 3 demigods. It could even produce divine power. After discovering this, the 4 demigods went crazy. That battle between demigods lasted for an unknown period of time. They only knew that after it ended, the 4 demigods fell. The powerful weapon also disappeared, because it had more power than the strongest legendary armament that humans could create, and it could also produce divine power. Thus, this weapon that was born from the heavens and had only one surname was called Legendary Armament. Chapter 801. Consider it a request. Please transfer the Ring of Power to me. Everyone turned their attention to Wu Yen after Carter said that. Standing in front of Kate and Sylph, Wu Yen could feel their burning gazes on him. They looked calm on the surface, but upon closer inspection, Wu Yen could see that Kate and Sylph are clenching their fists. Their foreheads were also covered in sweat. Wu Yen couldn't help but feel a bit uncomfortable under that kind of gaze. He bitterly laughed and said, "Is there a need to be like this? Even if it's an order left behind by your ancestor, it's been tens of thousands of years since he passed away, right?" Even though the Ailu imperial family's ancestor was a god-ranked expert, this fact was something the Ailu imperial family would be proud of. It wasn't impossible for them to treat his words as an imperial edict, but that was many years ago. Compared to an imperial edict, wasn't the control of an empire much more important? Wu Yen didn't think the royal family would blindly listen to the orders of a deceased ancestor. He also didn't think Carter would give up his throne just because of an order and a ring. Give it up. Carter and Sylph seemed to have understood what Wu Yen meant. They lowered their heads in silence. After a long time, he said in a low voice with some helplessness, "Indeed, a deceased ancestor, no matter how great and how outstanding his achievements were, at this point in time, a verbal order doesn't mean anything. However, the ring of authority is still necessary." Wu Yen furrowed his brows. "Is it just to get a proper verbal meaning?" "No, it's not like that." Carter shook his head and sighed. "You don't know how complicated an empire's royal family is. The Ailu Empire's royal family doesn't only consist of our branch, there are many other distant branches. They might not be as important as the direct imperial family, but they still have the blood of the imperial family flowing in their veins." Wu Yen sensed Kite's dejection at this point. He continued in a low voice with an expressionless face, "The throne of the Ailu Empire is coveted by every member of the royal family. Of course, there are many ambitious people. This time, the throne is mine, but when did I get dragged down and get replaced by someone else? It's not surprising." Coterie stopped licking the jewel when she heard Kite's words. She looked at Carter and asked with uncertainty, "Is someone trying to use this order to take you down?" Carter's expression changed and he closed his eyes. "Yes. Although the ancestral edict no longer has much binding power, it is a very good excuse for those who covet the throne. If they use it well, even if they can't achieve their goal of sitting on the throne, they can at least let the next successor fill in the name of their descendant." "That's not possible," Coterie retorted bluntly. "By doing so, won't they be pushing the throne that they've been dreaming of onto the owner of the ring?" "That's still better than what's on my body," Kite sneered, expressing his disdain for the petty tricks of an ant. "They should know that as long as I'm on the throne, they have no chance of winning. However, if the throne is in the hands of a lucky person, their chances of winning are much higher." Wu Yen was taken aback. He shrugged helplessly. "Looks like we're being underestimated." "More or less." Kite smiled and said, "However, with that Lord Z around, they won't lay a finger on you. I'm sure of that. I wish they would come knocking on our door," Wu Yen said casually. He glanced at Carter. "We received news that the Ailu imperial family is paying close attention to us. I think it's their little trick, right?" "Yes. Part of it is mine," Carter admitted with a nod. "I don't know when the news about the Ring of Authority leaked out. Even though we couldn't confirm it because you weren't around, some things can't be hidden forever." Kate pondered for a bit before meeting Wu Yan's gaze. I know my request may be overboard, but please understand that I have my reasons. Of course, I won't ask you to transfer the Ring of Authority without any conditions. Wu Yen isn't sure if it's just his imagination, but Carter's next words seemed to carry a strong sense of unwillingness and resentment with him. To make it up to you, we decided to hold this ball to announce your engagement with Sylph, huh? Wu Yan's eyebrows twitched. He forced a smile. So this so-called compensation is marrying Sylph to me? Impossible, Kate said angrily. The only reason I want you to marry Sylph is so that you can become a member of the imperial family. Carter's explanation didn't clear up Wu Yan's doubt. In fact, it only made him more confused. What's going on now? Carter lowered his head and turned around with his hands behind his back. When the ancestor passed away, he left behind some things in the Ailu Empire's treasury. Only members of the Ailu Empire's royal family are allowed to enter the treasury. Wu Yen blinked. He glanced at Sylph and the other girls. Then, he asked Kate. You mean? That's right. Carter tilted his head. I can give you those things. Wu Yen clicked his tongue. Then why don't you just take them from me? Take them? How am I supposed to take them? Carter said in a bored tone. Inside are the most important things of the Ailu Empire's royal family. If you want to take anything from there, not only do you have to be a member of the Ailu Empire's royal family, you also have to get permission from the Ailu Empire's guardian deity. Otherwise, even I won't be able to take anything from there. Surprised, he didn't ask about the national treasury. Instead, he asked, Guardian deity? Carter hesitated for a bit before continuing. It's fine to tell you. In the Ailu imperial family, the one with the highest status isn't me, it's the guardian god. It's not just the Ailu imperial family, it's the Baruba and Faya empires as well. These three empires all have a guardian god hiding behind the scenes and protecting the imperial family. Protect the safety of the royal family. Wu Yen and the other girls looked at Kite with uncertainty. Kite responded with a meaningful smile. Normally, the guardian god doesn't care about the Ailu Empire's royal family or even the empire's affairs. His only job is to cultivate and guard the treasury. Unless something big happens to the empire or the royal family, he won't appear. It's the same for the other two empires' guardian gods. It is also because of the guardian god's existence that the rules of the national treasury can be maintained. I can't take anything from there for no reason, but for the sake of the Ring of Authority, the guardian god will allow you to have those things. Of course, you have to be a member of the Ailu imperial family. Fortunately, with Sylph's status in the imperial family, her fiancé can also be considered a member of the imperial family. If it was someone else, the two of you would have to be married before you can be considered a member of the imperial family. At this moment, everyone more or less understood the ins and outs of the entire matter. Wu Yen looked at Sylph speechlessly. I didn't think you would agree to be engaged to me just to give me some things. Sylph glanced at Wu Yen and gave him a strong answer. It's just an engagement, we can cancel it at any time. Chapter 802. This was the deepest part of King City's imperial palace. Wu Yen checked out his surroundings as he walked down the path leading to the palace. There were huge magic lamps embedded in the walls. The faint glow of the magic lamps illuminated the path to the palace. However, the lighting was a bit hazy, it felt like he was in a dream. The corridor was silent, only the sound of footsteps could be heard. Wu Yen looked at his surroundings. He looked at Kite, who was leading the way, and then at Sylph, who was walking beside him. He felt a little nervous. Kite said that only members of the Ailu imperial family can enter this place. Outsiders will be treated as enemies and killed by the guardian deity. Wu Yen and Sylph's engagement is just a formality. The guardian deity should know about it, but he didn't stop Wu Yen from entering this place. Kite also said that the guardian deity agreed to transfer Ailu's relics to Wu Yen for the sake of the Ring of Authority. It's obvious that the guardian deity knows that Wu Yan is the original owner of the Ring of Authority. Yet, he still agreed to the deal. That means the guardian deity doesn't want the throne to fall into Wu Yan's hands. Coterie had another guess. If Kite's words were true, the guardian deity would be willing to exchange Ailu's relics for the Ring of Authority. It's very likely that the guardian deity suggested it himself. Otherwise, why would Kite, who can't easily get anything from the treasury, decide to exchange it for the Ring of Authority? If the guardian deity is willing to exchange it for the Ring of Authority, he must know the details. Why didn't he just ask Kite to exchange it for the Ring of Authority? Why did he go through so much trouble to get Wu Yan engaged with Sylph and bring Wu Yan here? There's only one answer. The guardian deity wants to see Wu Yan. Wu Yan felt a little nervous because he didn't know what the guardian deity was planning. He also didn't know if the guardian deity would take the Ring of Authority from him. Sylph sensed Wu Yan's nervousness and she turned around as if she had an epiphany. Her icy blue eyes had an indescribable calmness that calmed Wu Yan down. He nodded at her and smiled gratefully. Sylph merely glanced at him and didn't say anything else. Damn it. She's not cute at all. After walking for about half an hour, a light appeared at the end of the tunnel. Wu Yan, Kate, and Sylph exchanged a look and they hastened their pace. A few moments later, Wu Yan, Kate, and Sylph looked at each other and they hastened their pace. They finally reached the end of the corridor. Dazzling light sprinkled down from the sky and all around. Wu Yan, Sylph, and Sylph closed their eyes to adjust to the light. They slowly opened their eyes and looked at the scene in front of them. Wu Yan was shocked. In front of him, there was a steep wall that extended in all directions like a valley, covering the end of his line of sight. It formed 3 walls, and in the middle of the 3 walls, there was an extremely wide open space standing there. It gradually sank down, forming a staircase that led downwards. At the bottom of the staircase is an entrance. It's a very old entrance that looks like an underground graveyard. The scene in front of him left him dumbfounded. This place doesn't look any different from an underground graveyard. It doesn't look anything like the imperial treasury that Wu Yan had in mind. Instead, it exuded a dark and sinister aura. It gave him the feeling that if he went in, he would never be able to get out. Chills ran down his spine. The ancient entrance had obviously been ravaged by the passage of time. It contained a very simple and unadorned atmosphere. The entire shape of the entrance was like a basement within a room. However, this so-called room and basement were a little too big. This is the Imperial Treasury? Wu Yan gulped and looked at Carter weakly. Don't tell me you're using the treasury to support the Empire? Impossible! How is that possible? Carter rolled his eyes. This is the Imperial Treasury of the Ailu Empire. It's mainly used to store the most valuable items. Gold coins don't need to be stored in the treasury. You can just throw them into your spatial storage. Wu Yan's jaw dropped when he heard this. It seems like he's carrying the real national treasury with him. Kate pulled himself together and he led Wu Yan and Sylph forward. When they reached the staircase, he took a deep breath and he bowed in a respectful manner. The current emperor of the Ailu Empire, Carter, brings my daughter Sylph and her fiancé Wu Yan here to request the right to enter the imperial treasury. Kite's words reverberated throughout the palace. His voice lingered in the air for a long time. Not long after Kite finished his words, Wu Yan's pupils shrunk as he felt a chill in his heart. He looked to the side and stopped at an empty space not far from the entrance. There's a figure sitting cross-legged on the ground. He's wearing a gray robe. The gray-robed figure looked like he's been sitting there for a long time. He didn't move at all. It's as if he's been sitting there for thousands of years. He's like a statue. There's no aura coming from him. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat when he saw the figure. Because before he came in, he had already scanned the entire place once, so he clearly remembered that just a second ago, there was not a single person in that position at all. Wu Yan felt a chill in his heart. Amidst his shock, the gray-robed figure sitting at the entrance shook his robes. A pair of eyes that were as calm as an ancient well slowly opened. He raised his head and looked forward. He glanced at Wu Yen, Sylph, and Sylph before stopping at Wu Yen. He squinted his eyes for a moment before he stopped. A trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. He stared at Wu Yen, and the more he looked at him, the more surprised he became. Finally, a hoarse voice with a hint of vicissitudes of life reverberated in the air. "You're Wu Yen?" Wu Yen, Carter, and Sylph were stunned by the sudden question. The other two turned to look at Wu Yen. Wu Yen reacted and he quickly calmed himself down. He put on a serious face and bowed to the other party. Wu Yen greets the old man. Old man. Carter and Sylph sucked in a cold breath when they heard Wu Yan's greeting. Old man? The ancient voice seemed to be startled for a moment. Then, a soft chuckle escaped from the other party's mouth. What an old man! I've lived here for a long time and I've always heard Lord or Lord Protector. What a refreshing way to address someone. The old man disappeared without a trace. He reappeared in front of Wu Yen and the others with his hands behind his back. Carter and Sylph became even more respectful when they saw the old man. Wu Yen was shocked by the old man's mysterious appearance. This old man is definitely not ordinary. With that in mind, he activated the system's perception. His wine-red eyes flashed with undetectable data as he took in the old man's information. When the old man's information came back from the system's perception and entered his mind, he was completely flabbergasted. Chapter 803. Jarlin? Ailu, level 96, level 96. He's a demigod. The shock in his heart slowly surfaced on his face when he realized that the old man is a demigod named Garland. Unable to control his shock in time, Garland thought that Wu Yen was shocked by the way he moved. He couldn't help but smile. There's no need to be so surprised. It's just some mana usage. If you become a demigod in the future, you'll be able to travel 1,000 miles in an instant. Wu Yen was shocked. He only regained his senses when Jarlin's words reached his ears. He took a deep breath and shook his head with a bitter smile. I've embarrassed myself in front of you, sir. Wu Yen, don't be rude. Kite shouted in a deep voice, his eyes hinting. Sir Jarlin is the protector of the Ailu Empire. He's much stronger than I am. Don't be so rude. Obviously, Carter said this because he was afraid that Garen would blame Wu Yen. However, Garen waved his hand and said nonchalantly, There's no need to be polite or impolite. Compared to Lord, this little guy's way of addressing me is more pleasing to me. Hearing that, Kite secretly sighed in relief. Wu Yen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He's always calling himself little fella, little fella. He didn't even object to these people who are older than him calling him that, but now they're blaming him. Am I really that young? Jarlin turned his attention to Wu Yen. He ignored Carter and Sylph and stared intently at Wu Yen. That calm yet scrutinizing gaze made Wu Yen feel uneasy. The two beside him didn't quite get it either. Until the next moment, little guy, Jarlin said calmly. You're not human, are you? Wu Yan's calm voice reverberated in his ears. His heart that had just calmed down suddenly tensed up. He looked at Jaren with a look of shock. Not just him, even Carter was stunned by Jaren's words. Ever since he became a true ancestor, Wu Yan's identity had been exposed before. For example, the Beast King that appeared in the Behemoth Forest had exposed his identity. However, the Beast King wasn't a human either. It wasn't strange for it to be able to see through his identity. Moreover, he had only discovered it after a period of observation. However, this demigod named Garland, who was standing in front of him, had reacted the moment they met. His identity was exposed. This person was truly terrifying. Not a human. Kite's expression suddenly became uncertain. Lord Garen, what is the meaning of this? Sylph also shifted her gaze over. She had heard the same thing from the Beast King before, but the situation was too urgent at that time, so she didn't pay much attention to it. Now that he thought about it, it seemed that at that time, Wu Yen had suffered a lot of fatal injuries, but he had recovered in an instant. He was not human. Garen had no intention of answering Kate. He was still waiting for Wu Yan's reply. Wu Yen gulped and nodded. Carter and Sylph shuddered as they nodded. Garen, on the other hand, smiled. You're not a human, and you don't seem to be a demonic beast either. What is your existence? Garen asked curiously. Wu Yen furrowed his brows. He was in a difficult position. Should he tell them that he was a vampire? They probably don't even know what a vampire is. Garen smiled when he saw Wu Yan's troubled expression. You can't answer? Fine. Wu Yen let out a sigh of relief when he heard this. He told Garen, Please forgive me, old mister. I really don't know how to explain this to you after all. The implications are quite big. The secret is yours. If you want to tell me, I'll tell you. If you don't want to, it's not my style to force you to tell me. Jarlin waved his hand in a rather heroic manner. From his movements, one could not tell that he was old at all. He glanced at Wu Yen and said with a smile, I'm sure you've already guessed that it was my idea to have Kate exchange the Ring of Authority with you, right? Wu Yen blushed with shame. He laughed dryly and scratched his cheek. I just don't understand. If old Sir wants to exchange the Ring of Authority with me, why do you have to go through so much trouble to get Princess Sylph engaged with me? Trouble? Jaren blinked his eyes and blinked. Is it that troublesome? I think it's quite fun. Wu Yen sweated profusely. Kate and Sylph were speechless. However, they didn't seem to find it strange. Garen must have lived for too long. He's become an old urchin. Wu Yen came to this conclusion. He turned his head away helplessly. It's not like he's the one who's at a disadvantage in this engagement. All right, little guy. I called you here to ask you a question. Garen waved his hand and said with a serious expression, I heard from the little girl that you obtained this Ring of Authority in a treasure trove. Then, other than this Ring of Authority, did you find anything else? Zhang Lixing asked. Wu Yan's heart jumped, but he pretended to be puzzled. Something else? Is there something else? Garen frowned and looked at Wu Yan seriously. You really didn't find anything else? Wu Yan frowned and looked at Garen with a serious expression. Am I supposed to find something else? Following Wu Yan's words, the atmosphere turned heavy. Wu Yan and Jaren looked at each other with the same indescribable look in their eyes. It's hard to tell what's going on in their minds. Kate and Sylph's hearts were in their throat. Just as they were about to step forward and say something, Garland seemed to have given up on something and turned around in boredom. Forget it, I told you that it's not my style to pursue this matter. Who would have thought that I would? Garen sighed and laughed at himself. The longer I live, the more backward I get. A gust of wind blew past Jaren's location, engulfing his entire body within it. Not long after, Jaren's figure slowly faded away, gradually disappearing from the spot under the gazes of the three people present. The thing you want is in the deepest part of the treasury. Take it yourself. Leaving those words echoing in the air, Jaren disappeared as if he was never there. Even though he had seen this before, Wu Yen still felt his heart palpitating. Kate smiled bitterly and said to Wu Yen apologetically, Please don't blame Master Garen. He just wants to reach the top. I think he wants to know where you found the ancestral Ring of Authority. He wants to know if there's any divine energy there. Wu Yen nodded and smiled. I'm just asking a few questions. It's not like I'm blaming him or anything. It's good that you think that way. Kate nodded with a smile. Since Master Garen has allowed you to enter the treasury, you may enter. Remember, don't take anything other than what you need. Wu Yen nodded. He turned around and walked towards the entrance of the tower. Stepping on the stairs that are still glossy despite the ravages of time, he felt a bit slippery to the touch, but he didn't encounter any obstructions. He followed the stairs for a while before he arrived at the entrance. Lifting his head, he looked at the ancient door. A desolate aura emanated from within and wrapped around his body like the wind. Surprisingly, it didn't feel cold at all. The passage ahead was very dark. There wasn't a single ray of light, but at the same time, it didn't feel eerie either. Instead, it felt like a mysterious wine that had been brewed. Wu Yen was deeply captivated by it. Chapter 804. Wu Yen only has one feeling right now, and that is shock. Originally, he thought that after passing through the passage, what would appear in front of him would be a dazzling treasure trove of gold and jade. At the very least, there should be a mountain of gold, or maybe the walls would be made out of gold, and the floor would be covered in pearls, or something like that. But now, he can only feel ashamed of his own thoughts, because it is too vulgar. In this treasure trove, there is no mountain of gold, nor is it as dazzling as he imagined. It is just a large-scale warehouse. But it is this so-called large-scale warehouse that gave Wu Yen an extraordinary shock. As for why he is shocked, just look at the things here. On the left wall, there is an old bookshelf. The bookshelf is filled with books, but if you think that those are just ordinary books, then you are gravely mistaken. Placed on the bookshelf, there is no one that isn't powerful do-chi cultivation technique, battle skill, magic, and even some unknown secret techniques with strange effects. On the right side of the wall, there was another shelf. However, it wasn't a bookshelf, but a few weapon racks. On the racks were all armaments. Although there were only a few dozen of them, all of them were gold-rank armaments. And on the surrounding floor, there are some scattered boxes everywhere. Some are covered so there is no way to see what is inside, but some are open. There are some herbs and other treasures inside, or magic beast body materials, magic crystals, magic beast eggs. They are everywhere, magic beast body materials and treasures. With Wu Yan's knowledge in the spalier world, he can't recognize how precious they are. Magic beast eggs are also unknown, but Wu Yan can recognize the magic crystals. The lowest level magic crystal is at the 8th level. There are also magic crystals at the 9th level. Of course, in here, there are not only the things mentioned above, there are also many things that Wu Yen can't recognize. But since they are placed together with these things, then at least in terms of value, they are definitely not weak. Looking at everything around him, Wu Yen laughed bitterly. He lowered his head, clenched his fists tightly, and trembled all over. It was not because he was frightened, nor was it because he was shocked. It was because he was trying his best to hold it in. He resisted the urge to loot everything here. To put it bluntly, if everything here was exchanged for points in the system, then it would be an exaggeration to say that he wouldn't have to worry about money for the rest of his life. But at the very least, it would be more than enough to last him a few years. Only now did Wu Yen realize how poor he was, having always squandered his wealth like water. Compared to the things here, even if he exchanged all his points in the system for useful things, it would still be a drop in the ocean. Disparity, this was the disparity. Wu Yen groaned and turned his head away stiffly. He forced himself not to look at the things around him. When he realized that he couldn't help but want to touch it, he simply closed his eyes and walked inside without looking back. His heart was bleeding. If only it was all mine, how good would that be? With that thought, Wu Yen walked inside. He no longer paid attention to the treasures around him. Jaren said that Ailu's relic is in the deepest part of this place. That is also Wu Yan's goal. In the treasure trove, he obtained 3 rings. One is the Ring of Authority, a symbol of authority. It is useless to him. The other 2 are the Black Ring, that represents strength, and the Gold Ring, that represents money. These 2 rings are different from the former. They are spatial items, so there should be something inside. But Wu Yen can't get it because one requires a key to open it. The other ring only gives him a hint, but they have one thing in common. They are both Ailu's things. If that's the case, then Ailu's relic is most likely the key to these 2 rings. It's because of this that Wu Yen agreed to trade with Kite. After all, authority is something that he can do without. The items in the remaining 2 rings are the ones that are really useful to him. So, rather than keeping a useless ring that symbolizes authority, he might as well trade it for a better shot. Even if Ailu's relic isn't the key to opening the 2 rings, a god's relic can't be useless, right? With that thought in mind, Wu Yen continued to explore deeper into the treasure trove. He stopped when he saw a wall in front of him. There aren't many treasures left in the treasure trove. What's left is precious, but Wu Yan's attention isn't on them. Instead, it's on a transparent crystal object in front of the wall. It's a crystal ball. Wu Yan's pupils constricted as he stared at the crystal ball. If he's not wrong, this should be Ailu's relic. There was no other reason. This crystal ball was almost exactly the same as the crystal ball that was placed together with the box containing the 3 rings in the treasure trove. Wu Yen walked up to the crystal ball and focused on it. He muttered to himself for a moment before placing his hand on it. Wang! The crystal ball trembled violently, and a dazzling light leaked out from it. In an instant, it shone on the wall in front, forming a projection screen. A blurry figure appeared on the screen. Under Wu Yan's gaze, the figure moved slowly as if it's carrying a mountain on its back. It looked like a monk practicing martial arts. Powerful battle techniques were displayed over and over again. That was clearly teaching him the method and experience of using a powerful battle technique. Wu Yen sighed and lowered his head in disappointment. This crystal ball is indeed a relic left behind by Ailu. The battle skill displayed in the projection is simply too powerful. Only a god can display such destructive power. In other words, the battle skill shown in the projection is a battle skill once used by a god. Without a doubt, this skill is very valuable. It's not wrong to say that it's the most valuable item here, but to Wu Yen, it's of little value. A god's battle technique. Wu Yen bitterly smiled. It's enough to exchange for the Ring of Authority, but I don't have any battle chi. It's useless. Don't tell me that we've missed this time? Wu Yen gritted his teeth as he looked at the image on the screen. He suddenly thought of something and raised his hand. A crimson ripple appeared on his hand. A golden ring and a black ring flew out and landed on Wu Yan's hand. Right at this moment, a phenomenon occurred. The figure that was demonstrating his battle skill suddenly stopped and turned around to look at Wu Yen. In an instant, a terrifying pressure descended on Wu Yen, causing his blood to boil, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Wu Yen could clearly see the projection's mouth moving as if it's trying to say something. Then, a bright golden light shot out from the projection's body and arrived in front of Wu Yen in an instant. It spun around and entered the golden ring. The projection screen on the wall trembled, and under Wu Yan's astonished gaze, it shattered into pieces, but it didn't dissipate. Instead, it stayed suspended in midair. At the center of it all, a small black dot spun and appeared. It brought with it a whirlwind that swept up all the fragments around it. Not long after, a black hole formed by the fragments and the black wind appeared in front of Wu Yen. The fragments started reassembling and the black wind started dissipating. Slowly, a new projection was formed. A faint shadow. Chapter 805. Looking at the shadow floating in the air, Wu Yen was stunned. It was just a shadow, but Wu Yen felt like he was facing the whole world. There was no aura coming from the shadow, but his presence could not be ignored. There was no change in the surroundings, but the atmosphere in the air fluctuated like the surface of a lake, giving people the illusion that space was about to shatter. Ordinary, calm, steady, but terrifying. What is going on? Wu Yen couldn't wrap his head around this sudden turn of events. Suddenly, a faint sigh came from the shadow's body. Fated one. Wu Yen lifted his head to look at the shadow due to his undeniable presence. Wu Yen didn't even notice the shadow's action. It's as if someone is purposely manipulating him. Since you can see me, it proves that you found the thing I left behind and came to my empire. The vicissitude, mysterious, ethereal, and leisurely voice came from an unknown part of the shadow, but it seemed to be transmitted directly into Wu Yan's mind. waking him up from his stupor. Hearing this, Wu Yen roughly understood that the person in front of him was the god-level expert called Ailu. Or rather, it was a projection left behind by him. However, the shadow's words surprised Wu Yen. "If possible, I really did not want you to come here." The shadow's voice was filled with indescribable sadness. However, an existence is an existence. No matter how deeply it hides, an existence that hasn't been erased will reveal a corner of its existence in this world sooner or later. Even if it deceives itself and hides, what's the use? In any case, such an existence will not be able to sleep forever. I clearly understand this, but I still did not want you to come here. In the end, I am just one of the people deceiving themselves. The shadow's face did not have a trace of emotion, but when he said those words, it was obvious that he showed a self-deprecating expression. Coupled with that strange speech, Wu Yen was confused. The owner of the voice seemed to have expected Wu Yan's reaction, and the tone suddenly changed. "Fated One, I don't know how many years have passed in Silveria by the time you see this projection. I don't know what the current situation is like, but what I'm about to say next will affect the entire world." Wu Yen was shocked. "Affect the entire world? Therefore, your best choice is to not listen. If you're afraid, then just destroy this projection right here and now," the shadow said. "If you choose to continue listening, then—" The shadow did not continue speaking, and his body stopped moving, leaving Wu Yen standing there with a rapidly changing expression. "Affect the entire world, what the hell is going on here?" Wu Yan's expression was uncertain. Of course, he did not think that the shadow was talking nonsense, because there was no need for that. Furthermore, this projection was most likely left behind by AI Lu himself. In that case, the so-called thing that would affect the whole world that he mentioned was definitely something incredible. Phew! Wu Yen exhaled heavily, calming himself down. He raised his head and looked at the projection. He did not destroy it as the shadow said. They stood there silently, a projection and a figure silently waiting for time to pass. About 10 minutes later, the shadow spoke again. "It seems that you did not choose to run away, but it is not praiseworthy, because you might regret it." Leaving behind such a vague statement, the ethereal voice began to narrate. "Fated person, what you have found are 3 of my favorite rings that I left behind when I was alive. I had once placed a seal on their location, and unless a divine-level expert tried to barge in, it would be impossible for anyone to enter." Hearing this, Wu Yen held his breath. The shadow continued, "I know you are conflicted, because you did obtain my items, but you cannot be a god-rank powerhouse. After our fall, there should not be another god-rank powerhouse." "What does that mean? Are you sure?" Wu Yen tilted his head in confusion. The shadow continued, "There is no other way to break the seal other than by barging in. If it is broken, it means that a great disaster will befall the Spalier world." "What?" Wu Yen was stunned, his heart skipping a beat. "A disaster that even a god-rank powerhouse would consider a great disaster? What kind of disaster is it?" Wu Yen asked subconsciously. He did not consider that the shadow in front of him was just a projection without any consciousness. It was impossible for it to answer his question, but the shadow said so. "I know you are confused, but that's all I can say." The shadow's head seemed to move once or twice, as if it was shaking its head. "You don't need to know too much about the great disaster, it won't do you any good, but you must remember what I'm going to say next." The ethereal voice suddenly became serious, and even the tone of the voice became a little heavy. "Remember, if you want to stop this great disaster, the way is in that black ring, the ring of power." "A black ring?" Wu Yan's expression froze, and he immediately looked at the black ring in his hand. Looking at this ring, which should be a space tool, his consciousness sank into it, but it was blocked like before, and he could not open it. "You don't need to try to open the ring of power." As if it knew what Wu Yen was doing, the shadow said, "Before the great disaster happens, it's best that the things in the ring don't come out. Otherwise, it will only make the spalier world chaotic in advance. As soon as its voice fell, the shadow raised a hand and stroked it in the air. The next moment, a map that looked like a star appeared with a rotation, and it stood beside the shadow. "I've put the key to open the ring of power there." The shadow pointed at a red dot on the map. "If one day a great calamity occurs, then go there and search for the key. As long as the great calamity occurs, the seal I set up there will also be removed. With the ring of power in your hand, you will obtain the qualifications to enter there. Of course, if the great disaster doesn't happen, then you don't have to go. No matter what, I'll just remember it first." Hearing the shadow's words, Wu Yen took in a deep breath of cold air. He focused his attention on the map and memorized it with perfect memory. With the ring of power, you can enter the Ailu Imperial Palace without any hindrance. I believe the current Ailu Emperor won't transfer the throne to you just because of a word from me. You also have the other two rings, the ring of power and the ring of gold. Combined with the information I left on the box, the possibility of you coming here is much higher. When you see this projection, it will prove that I'm right." Wu Yen almost fell to the ground. "Everything is under the control of this guy who died who knows how many years ago. Fated One, if it's possible, please transfer the ring of power to the current Ailu Emperor." Wu Yen heard the shadow's words with a hint of a smile. Authority is the most useless thing, only strength can truly control one's own fate. The ring of power is something dispensable, it's only there to give you the chance to come here. Of course, I won't let you work for nothing. Just transfer the ring of power to the current emperor. The ring of power is the key. Before everything happens, don't let it appear. As for the things in the ring of gold, just treat it as the reward for letting you bear so much. It should be able to satisfy you." After saying that, the shadow fluctuated again. That was because he had turned around. "I've done everything I can. Fortune? Misfortune? Fate?" His words are still lingering in the air, but the shadow is already gone. Wu Yen is the only one left standing there without uttering a single word. Chapter 806. When the shadow disappeared, the strange fluctuation in the air that seemed to break through space also disappeared at the same time. It was replaced by another invisible force that revealed a hint of surveillance. Wu Yen furrowed his brows when he felt this invisible power. Then, he relaxed his brows as if nothing had happened. At first, Wu Yen was wondering why Garen would let him enter this place alone without worrying about him tampering with the things here. It seems like Garen didn't need to worry about him tampering with the things here. Garen had already tampered with the things here. As for the abnormal spatial fluctuations that the shadow emitted just now, it should be to isolate the surroundings from detection. Otherwise, with such a thing happening, Garland would have sensed it and come in. Shaking his head, Wu Yen looked at the two rings in his hand. They are the ring of power and the ring of gold that the shadow mentioned. He then touched the ring of authority on his finger and sighed in annoyance. Wu Yen had to go through too much in just one day, so much so that he felt like he couldn't handle it all. First, it was a ball that was open to the entire continent. Then, he somehow became the main character of the ball. He even had a fiancée who was a beautiful iceberg beauty in name. Then, he learned about the secrets of the continent from Kite. The truth of the god-level experts and the secret behind their fall, the existence of the divine power and the mythical armaments. Then he saw the highest level of power in this world, the demigod expert Garen who was the guardian god, and then he encountered the remains and instructions of the deceased gods. It's only been a day, but Wu Yen felt more tired than the 3 years he spent in Sao. If it wasn't for the 3 rings in his hand and the map in his mind, he would have been dead already. He thought that he was dreaming. I feel like I've been played. Wu Yen pursed his lips. The ring of authority, the ring of gold, and the ring of power all have their own meanings. They were all designed by the fallen god Ailu. That included Wu Yen coming here and entering the treasury. He entered the treasury, touched the relics he left behind, and received Ailu's instructions. Throughout the entire process, he acted like a bystander. There was no room for him to intervene at all. If it were someone else, they would know that their actions were all part of someone else's plan. They would definitely be unhappy. Moving his hand from the ring of authority to the ring of gold, he could feel the change in the ring. He mumbled to himself, "I hope your compensation is satisfactory. Otherwise, I'll go to the refugee cave and adopt a strong man as a coolie. I'll give him a name, Ailu." After saying that, Wu Yen gradually sank his consciousness into the ring of gold. The obstacles in the past have disappeared without him noticing. There are no longer any obstacles to Wu Yan's consciousness. Wu Yen felt dizzy for a moment. His vision blurred and he arrived in a different world. He was like a ghost wandering in the sky. The space inside the ring of gold is huge. Even though it can't compare to the boundless space inside the gate of Babylon, you can't see the end of it. One look and you can tell that this ring of gold is the highest level spatial item in the world of Silveria. Looking around, it's pitch black. There's nothing but some murky air flowing in the space. It's like the bottom of an abyss, there's nothing there. This is natural. Space items have gravity, items stored inside can't float. Wu Yen cast his gaze to the bottom of the space. When he saw the scene in front of him, Wu Yan's wine-red eyes fluctuated violently, then he became sluggish. Gold glitter. It's really gold glitter. There's an uncountable amount of gold glitter. Those are all gold coins. No. It's not just gold coins. Amidst the glittering gold, there was an empty space in the center. Things that were completely different from gold coins were scattered all over the place. Among them, there were heavenly treasures and various materials from magical beasts, just like the treasury outside. There was also a large area of magical crystals. There are low-tier magic crystals, the lowest Tier 1 magic crystals. There are also high-tier magic crystals, Tier 8 and Tier 9 magic crystals, scattered all over the place. What made Wu Yan's heart beat faster is the 5 magic crystals in the middle of the pile. They are about the size of a palm. Demigod magic crystals. There are many other things, but all of them are priceless treasures. In here, there are no medicines, battle skills, magic, or armaments that can enhance a person's strength. However, treasures with great value and incomparably precious covered the entire ground. The ring of gold. No wonder it's named after the word gold. Heavens! Wu Yen was dumbfounded. At this time, the gold coins are still shining brightly. His eyes have been dyed gold by the glittering gold coins on the ground. Although the treasures in the center of the pile are not as important as the gold coins, they are still worth more than the gold coins on the ground. The box containing the ring of gold once said that it contains wealth comparable to the whole world. Wu Yen didn't believe it at first, but now he has no choice but to believe it. The illusory consciousness floating in the air kept swaying. Wu Yen stretched out his hand and pinched his thigh, but there's no pain. He. Wu Yen looked like he's been played to death. It doesn't hurt. Am I really dreaming? This action, how to put it, is very stupid. How can a body of consciousness feel pain from a pinch? Wu Yen laughed like a machine for a long time. When his consciousness returned to his mind, he didn't know how much time had passed. One can imagine how much shock the endless gold coins and the treasures in the small area gave him. Without a doubt, the value of the items here is no less than the treasuries outside. Maybe even more. It's worth it. After a long time, Wu Yen spat out these 2 words. It's really worth it. Magic crystals could be exchanged for ability points. Heavenly treasures and demonic beast torso materials could be exchanged for item points. Although there were no armaments or similar equipment here, the gold coins on the ground could also be used to purchase armaments and exchange for equipment points. With the items in the ring of gold, Wu Yan's equipment points, and ability points will increase to an unimaginable level. He's really out of poverty. It's a pity that there are no life force items or monster eggs. I can't exchange them for summoning points. Although he said it's a pity, Wu Yan's mouth has already turned into a hippopotamus shape. Everyone can see the ecstasy in his heart. The expansion of the 3 types of points had undoubtedly helped him tremendously. At this time, if he still doesn't feel satisfied, he should be struck by lightning. Moreover, items that contain life energy and demonic beast eggs that can be exchanged for summoning points can also be bought with gold coins. Although it's hard for him to come across such items, but with gold coins in hand, the world is his. His consciousness has already plunged into the pile of gold coins. Although he can't feel anything, Wu Yan still happily rolled around like a landlord, a big money grubber, and more like a nouveau riche. The idea of going to the refugee cave to adopt a fierce man as a coolie and give him the name Ai Lu has now disappeared. If there's anything in Wu Yan's heart, it's that he can't wait to hug Ai Lu and kiss him a few times. After showing off a lot of his principles, Wu Yan's consciousness came to the small area. Looking at the treasures, demonic beast corpses, materials, and magic crystals, he didn't hesitate to keep a small portion of them for a rainy day while handing over the rest to the system. Chapter 807. Beep. The exchange value is too high. For users' convenience, the system has begun to update. Wu Yan was stunned. Before he could react, the system notification rang out in his head one after another. Beep. The system has been updated. The changes are as follows. Removing the data of the summoned characters. Only the ability, equipment, and level columns are retained. The summoned characters are now independent. The ability column is now independent. The equipment column is now independent. Only the points and level columns are retained. The equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points, and other exchange points have been changed. The exchange values have been changed. The system has been updated. Please check it yourself. Listening to the system beeps ringing in his mind, his jaw dropped. By the time the beeps stopped, his jaw had already turned into an O shape. His mind went blank from the bombardment of the system. He didn't know what to make of it. System update? Wu Yan's mouth twitched. So the system can be updated? The system has its own independent judgment program. The other programs are also provided based on the user's applicability. In order for the user to check, the system will make its own judgment and update the values. If the system causes any inconvenience to the user, the system has the final right to explain. The user may inquire at any time. Since the system has the final right to explain, what's the point of asking? Wu Yan couldn't help but complain. However, he quickly remembered the system's update. He quickly opened his system list. In front of his consciousness, the system list opened up as usual. The starting list was just like what the system had said. There were some slight changes. Originally, there were 6 boxes from top to bottom. Status, equipment, ability, item, summon, and instance dungeon. Now there were only 3 boxes left. Status, exchange, and instance dungeon. Clicking into the status column, the data that appeared in front of Wu Yan was no longer the same as before. Instead, the names of Wu Yan and a row of girls were displayed. Seeing this, Wu Yan clicked into the option for his name. Character, Wu Yan equipment points, 170 item points, 127,000 ability points, 17,000 summoning points, 2,300 level, 79 F***CK. Wu Yan exclaimed and cursed. Why are my points so low? Let's not talk about the points he had obtained from the things he had just handed over to the system. The points that he already had. But it's still more than that. Could it have been swallowed by the system? Just as this thought popped up in his head, the system's voice rang out. The values held by the user have been changed, and the values on the exchange list have also been changed. Please confirm. Hearing this, Wu Yan breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it's not gone, it's fine. He looked at his personal status in front of him. Only his name, 4 types of points, and level were displayed. His previous abilities, equipment, and summoned character statuses were all gone. No, she couldn't say that she didn't see him. Instead, he had become independent. In the upper right corner of his character status, there were 3 additional options: ability, equipment, and summoned character. Clicking on the ability option, a list immediately appeared: abilities. True Ancestor Bloodline, Endless Martial Training, Knight Has Never Died by Bare Hands, Electromancer, LV5. Clicking on the equipment option, the stats of his equipment appeared as well: equipment. Gate of Wealth, B rank. The summoned character option was the same as well. Summons: Misaka Mikoto, Katsura Hinajiku Ikaros Astria Flandra? Scarlet, Shokuho Misaki, Itsuka Kotori, Yatsuka Toka, Tashizaki Kurumi, Shibano, Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku Yakumo Misaka Sister, 20,000. The 3 options were now independent. If he wanted to check them out, he would have to select them himself. It wasn't like before where they were all stacked together in a small list. There wasn't much to it, but the summoned characters gave him a headache. As for the personal statuses of the girls, the 4 stats of strength, endurance, agility, and spirit were removed, leaving only ability, equipment, and level. It was a lot simplified, but it didn't affect them too much. After exiting the status tab, Wu Yen clicked on the exchange option. The equipment, ability, item, and summoned options appeared in front of him. It was the same as before, but they were grouped into one category so it didn't affect him too much. Of course, that's not what he's concerned about. What he's really concerned about is how much the values on the exchange list have changed. Thus, he couldn't wait to check out the items on the exchange list. As time passed, Wu Yen slowly understood the changes in the system. Simply put, the exchange values had changed. There weren't as many zeros as before. For example, the lowest grade common armament, rank D, only required 1 equipment point. Some of the better common armament were more expensive by 1 or 2 equipment points. The cheapest rare armament, rank C, was now 100 equipment points. The value had decreased by a lot. It was the same for items, abilities, and summons. Their values had decreased by quite a bit. His exchange points had shrunk, and the exchange points for these items had also shrunk. As a result, the prices of some items had become more expensive or cheaper. For example, Resplendent Breath used to cost 100,000 item points. Now that it had been reduced by 10 times, it only cost 10,000 item points. However, the price had increased by quite a bit. On the other hand, the Town Return Scroll, which used to cost 10,000 item points, had become 1 item point. Although the price seemed cheaper, it was still the same as before. It was the same for abilities and summoning. Some things had become more precious, while some things had also become cheaper. Compared to the past, where the value system focused on power, the current exchange system also took into account practicality and comprehensiveness. The value system had changed considerably. In short, some items had become cheaper, while others had become more expensive. For example, the Resplendent Breath that had helped Wu Yen a lot. In other words, this system update had both advantages and disadvantages for Wu Yen. However, based on the current situation, the disadvantages outweighed the advantages. Looking at the drastic changes in the exchange list, Wu Yan's eyebrows twitched. His face was flushed red. Thousands of words exploded into a single sentence. System, you tricked me. Unexpectedly, the system replied calmly. User, you're slandering me. You. Wu Yan's lips trembled. In the end, his shoulders drooped dispiritedly. Even if he protested, what could he do? He also knew that the system's update this time was for his convenience and to make up for some mistake. For example, a heaven-defying item like Resplendent Breath. that could make him invincible for 3 hours would definitely cost more than the previous 100,000 item points. However, it was still disadvantageous to him, wasn't it? He could only say that the system had become more reasonable, but the victim was himself. It's not all bad. At least the return scroll only costs 1 item point. It's too cheap. Wu Yan forced a smile to comfort himself. However, when he looked at the gold coins and the remaining precious items on the ground, Wu Yan's mood improved a lot. No matter what, he had gained a lot from this trip. Looks like I should exchange for some new abilities and equipment, Wu Yan muttered to himself. He didn't know what the catastrophe that the shadow spoke of was. He also didn't know what the item in the Ring of Power that could stop everything was. But, at least Wu Yan understood one thing, and that is, power comes first. No matter what happened in the future, if he didn't have strength, he wouldn't be able to guarantee the safety of the girls. Unless he brought all the girls to another dungeon world to avoid everything, but if he could, who would want to escape? Therefore, he had to increase his strength. To be continued. Chapter 808. Back in the palace outside the treasury. It has been an hour since Garen left and Wu Yan entered the treasury. Carter and Sylph have been waiting at the entrance for Wu Yan to come out. As time passed, their brows furrowed. Strange. Carter muttered. Logically speaking, it shouldn't take that long. Sylph raised her head and asked coldly. Imperial Father, what is the Ancestor's Relic? You don't know. Carter paused for a moment before nodding his head in understanding. You're a magus. The Ancestor's Relic is of no use to you. It's normal that no one told you about it. Carter retracted his gaze and placed his hands behind his back. Actually, the Ancestor's Relic is a battle technique he used when he was alive. Battle technique? Sylph turned around and paused for a moment. The Ancestor's battle technique? Carter nodded. Sylph hesitated for a moment. If it's a battle technique used by the Ancestor, then it must be very precious. Do you really think it's a good idea to give it to an outsider? That's why you got engaged to him. Kate smiled helplessly. The Ring of Authority was left behind by our ancestors. As a god, even if it's just a symbol, most people won't easily let go of it. After all, it has the title of a god. In such a situation, other than the combat skill left behind by our ancestors, there's no one who can give it up easily. Is there anything else we can trade with him? Compared to controlling the entire empire, the price of a single combat skill is still worth it. Even if Wu Yan has the Ring of Authority, Carter won't give up the throne to him. Even if Carter is willing, who in the Ailu imperial family would be willing to give up their throne to an outsider? If Wu Yan doesn't want to give up the Ring of Authority, Carter can't do anything about it. Someone will use the Ancestor's Relic as an excuse. Carter is confident that he won't be able to get anything out of it. With his strength and status as a Tier 9 powerhouse, he won't give up the throne. However, it will be troublesome. More importantly, the next emperor might not be from his faction. That's why he has to get the Ring of Authority. Moreover, Wu Yan is no pushover. He has a demigod behind him and 2 Tier 9 powerhouses by his side. If he offended these people for the sake of the Ring of Authority, he would be in real trouble. Jaren is aware of this as well, that's why he's willing to let Wu Yan have the battle skill. Of course, what they didn't expect is that a god-tier battle skill is of little value to Wu Yan. What they didn't expect is that this time, Wu Yan didn't get a battle skill. He got a secret and a ring of gold that is as valuable as their national treasury. Shaking his head, Kate let go of the complicated thoughts in his mind. Now that Wu Yan has agreed to the deal, things are going well. Unfortunately, because of Jaren's whims, his beloved daughter got engaged to someone else. Engaged. He didn't know when regret had evolved into resentment. The thoughts in his heart had also evolved into expressions along with the resentment. As Kite muttered unwillingly, his eyes gradually became unfriendly. If Sylph finds out that the father she idolizes is actually a daughter-con, would she still be able to maintain her cold demeanor? Maybe she already knew about it. Ta. A series of footsteps could be heard coming from the entrance of the treasury. Wu Yen finally came out of the treasury. Wu Yen raised his hand to shield his eyes. The blinding light made him feel uncomfortable. When he opened his eyes, Carter and Sylph were already in front of him. "What do you think?" Carter said with a smile. "It's okay," Wu Yen mumbled with a stiff face. Seeing this, Carter is a bit confused, but he didn't ask any questions. It's his fortune to be able to learn it. If he can't, it's his fate. That's what Carter thought. If that's the case. Carter smirked. You should be satisfied with this deal, right? Yes. Yes. Wu Yen said in an annoyed tone. Very much so. His tone is full of annoyance, but what he meant is that he's very satisfied with the items inside the ring of gold. The only thing he's not happy about is the sudden interference of a certain damned system. Taking the ring of authority off his finger, Wu Yen raised his hand and made a throwing gesture. Shocked, Kate stepped forward and snatched the pure white ring from Wu Yan's hand. He glared at Wu Yen with eyes full of anger. No matter what, this is an item left behind by his ancestor. It's a very important item. Throwing it away like that would make Kate's heart ache. Wu Yen grinned sheepishly. Then, he recalled something and looked at Kate. By the way, Your Majesty, do you know where I can get a large number of armaments? Carter was stunned for a moment and asked in surprise, Armament? A large number? Why do you need so many armaments? Well, Wu Yen scratched his head. You guys know that I have a special armament that can increase the power of normal armament. However, it requires a lot of armaments to make up for its damage. Otherwise, it won't be able to increase its power, Carter nodded. He pondered for a moment and said, If you just need a large number of armaments and don't ask for a specific grade, it's not that hard to solve. It doesn't need to be too high grade, Wu Yen quickly said. Rare armaments are enough, common armaments are fine too. He's going to exchange them for equipment points anyway. If that's the case, then it's much easier. Carter smiled and put the ring of authority on his finger. You've done me a great favor. I can help you with this for the sake of the ring of authority. Of course, it won't be for free. Don't worry. Wu Yen patted his chest generously. Money is not a problem, as long as it's reasonable. All right then, Carter replied. His eyes flashed, and he had a serious expression. He coughed dryly and he continued in a nonchalant manner. Since we're done here, it's about time to cancel your engagement with Sylph. Wu Yen and Sylph froze for a moment. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're right. Carter smiled happily. However, Sylph said with an expressionless face, There's no need to cancel the engagement for now. Wu Yen was shocked. No, Carter roared. Since the matter is settled, why not cancel the engagement? Looking at her father's furious expression, Sylph couldn't maintain her cold expression and smiled bitterly. She turned to Wu Yen and spoke as if she was talking about the food she ate today. I said I wanted to spend some time with you. But, Wu Yen gulped and said weakly, but, isn't that just a temporary measure? Sylph lifted her head and she glared at Wu Yen with her icy blue eyes. I'm serious. Wu Yen almost choked on his own saliva. As for Carter, he was stunned. Serious? Wu Yen forced a smile and pointed at his own nose. Do you really want to marry me? Sylph glanced at Wu Yen. If it's suitable, I don't mind waiting on you with others. Wu Yen didn't know what to say. Carter reacted and looked at Sylph with a tearful expression. Daughter, why don't you reconsider? Sylph didn't say anything, she just shook her head. Kate laughed, but soon began to cry again. Chapter 809. Spalier World Academy, Villa District. Well, that's how it is. Wu Yen told Hinajiku Kotori, and Kurumi what he saw in the treasury. The three girls fell silent. They are still digesting what Wu Yen told them. Although it's best to keep what he encountered in the national treasury to himself, otherwise it would only cause more trouble. However, he has absolute trust in the girls around him. If he tells them, they can help him come up with a plan. Besides, Hinagiku and the other two are girls who can see the big picture. They wouldn't just blabber about such an important matter. Of course, Astria and the other girls might not be the same. It's not that Wu Yen doesn't trust Astria and the girls. It's just that with their personalities, even if it's something important, it's very likely that they'll use it as a joke after dinner. If that happens, it'll cause a huge commotion and it'll be very troublesome. Wu Yen glanced at Astria and Toka, who are eating not far away. Flandre-chan and Yoshino, who are enjoying the show. He sighed and felt a little pressured. If what Ailu said was true, would the girls still be as happy as they are now when the great calamity arrives? Will he be able to protect the girls' daily lives and smiles? Even Wu Yen is confused. At this time, he couldn't help but feel a little lost. However, he could only cower in his heart for a moment. He couldn't do it for any longer. Because if even he didn't have confidence, then the girls by his side would also feel the same way. However, Shoujo, Kotori, and Kurumi heard Wu Yan's sigh. They looked at each other and sighed as well. I didn't think so much would happen in just one day. So many things happened in just one day. Shoujo pursed her lips and looked at Wu Yan. The last time you came back from a dungeon world, the Beast King was born. This time, you came back with such a huge scandal. You have a constitution that attracts a lot of attention. It's really not flattering. Ahaha. Wu Yen laughed awkwardly. His lips twitched. Don't talk like I'm an elementary school student. Although, I'm starting to wonder if I have such a constitution. Era. Kwang San smiled. I don't think it's a bad idea. I won't be bored anymore. Wu Yen couldn't stay calm anymore and Hinagiku started complaining. Do you think I'm just passing time? This is a major matter that even a god-level expert would treat so seriously. Ma. Kurumi covered her mouth. What's wrong with that? You. All right. Kotori waved her hand. There's no point thinking too much about it. The great calamity might not happen, right? Otherwise, Ailu wouldn't have sealed the so-called solution. Instead, he would have left it to his descendant. It's too early to talk about this, we'll talk about it later. Hinagiku and Kurumi nodded nonchalantly. Wu Yen couldn't help but feel helpless. If anyone in Silveria were to find out about this, they wouldn't be as relaxed as the girls here. It was more important for them to come up with countermeasures beforehand. Of course, there was bound to be panic, there were pros and cons, so it wasn't easy to comment on them. In the end, the Spalier world isn't their world. Their sense of belonging isn't as heavy as the people of this world, so it's not hard to imagine how much they would take this matter to heart. If it wasn't for the fact that he's worried about the safety of the girls, Wu Yen probably wouldn't have paid much attention to this matter. But Kotori was right, this matter hasn't happened yet. There's no need for them to talk about it here, they're only making him more annoyed. It's best to just let it go. While Wu Yen was thinking, Kurumi suddenly smiled strangely. She narrowed her eyes and said to Wu Yen, By the way, Out-Susama, you seem to have a very close relationship with that princess, how enviable. The air froze. Wu Yen froze on the spot, he froze on the spot. Shoujo and Kotori looked at him with hostility. They didn't say anything but their attitude made Wu Yen feel like he's sitting on pins and needles. He could only fake a smile. Hinagiku and Kotori didn't feel any better when they saw the forced smile on Wu Yan's face. The atmosphere didn't ease up either. The two girls looked at Wu Yen with a give me a reasonable explanation look. Wu Yen felt like crying inside. Hinagiku is one thing, she's a jealous person. He didn't think Kotori would act like this as well. Where did the cute little sister, who helped her brother chase after the elven girl, go? Master. At this time, Ikaros's eyes flashed with a glint of data. You could faintly see a sci-fi-like frame moving back and forth in her eyes. Someone is approaching. Just as Ikaros finished her sentence, someone knocked on the door of the villa. In an instant, the noise in the villa slowly subsided. Wu Yen nodded. Ikaros, open the door. Yes, master. Leaving Wu Yan's side, Ikaros walked to the door and opened it. Everyone's gazes turned towards her. Excuse me, is Wu Yen-sama in? There were 3 men in armor standing at the entrance. 2 of them looked like guards standing behind them. The one in the lead looked more like a knight than a guard. He was also the one who had spoken. When he saw that the person who opened the door was an extremely beautiful young lady, a flash of surprise flashed across the knight's eyes. His expression also became sluggish for a moment, but he quickly reacted and hurriedly lowered his head. This one is a member of the imperial family. His Majesty ordered this one to deliver something to Wu Yen-sama. Deliver something? The girls flinched. Wu Yan's eyes lit up. He stood up and walked to the door. I am Wu Yen. My lord. The knight bowed respectfully and handed a ring to Wu Yen. This is what His Majesty ordered me to deliver to you. Wu Yen eagerly took the ring and sank his consciousness into it. A moment later, a space with a large number of weapons was imprinted in Wu Yan's mind. These are the armaments that Carter promised to help Wu Yen find. Wu Yan's eyes flashed with joy. He smiled at the knight and said, "Thank you for your hard work. This is what I should do." The knight bowed deeply. Then this one will take his leave. The knight stole a glance at Ikaros. He heard that Princess Sylph's fiancé has many beauties around him. He didn't want to believe it at first, but now, he has no choice but to believe it. The knight looked at Wu Yen with an envious gaze. He saluted Wu Yen again before leaving with his 2 guards. Flandre-chan poked her head out from Wu Yan's side. Is it something fun, big bro? Wu Yen laughed when he heard this. It's not something fun, it's something useful. Wu Yen turned around and ran up the stairs. He shouted at the girls. I'm going up first. Don't wait for me to eat. Wait! Hinajuku subconsciously urged him to stay, but before she could say anything, Wu Yen disappeared in a flurry of footsteps. Seriously? Hinajuku grumbled. We're not done yet. Kotori looked at the stairs and shook her head. Maybe even he's getting anxious. Shoujo fell silent for a moment before she helplessly leaned back in her chair. I wonder how Mikoto and the others are doing. Are they doing well in the behemoth forest? If Shokuho Misaki is here, she should be able to give us some good ideas. Allah. Kwang-san also revealed a devilish smile. I miss her too. Shoujo felt even more helpless. Well. Kotori looked at the direction Wu Yen disappeared. I hope it won't be too troublesome. Chapter 8:10. With a bang, Wu Yen closed the door and ran to his bed. He kicked off his shoes and jumped onto the bed. He picked up the armaments that Carter sent over and began to inspect them. The amount of armaments in the space ring was very impressive, but the quality was a bit lacking. Almost 80% of them were common armaments and the rest were rare armament. Even though he already knew this, Wu Yen still felt a bit helpless. Well, it didn't cost much anyway. A certain person who recently became rich said. Even though Carter sent over a lot of armaments, the cost wasn't even 1/10,000th of the gold coins in the ring of gold. If it wasn't for the fact that 20% of them were rare armaments, it probably wouldn't even be 1/10,000th of the gold coins. From this, it could be seen how much gold coins there were in the ring of gold. With a flip of his hand, Wu Yen handed over all the armaments in the space ring, including the ring itself, to the system. Ding! Obtained 12,000 equipment points. 12,000 equipment points? Wu Yen scratched his head. The system update made him unable to react to the amount of equipment points he received. According to the current exchange value, the cheapest D-grade common armament was 1 equipment point, The cheapest C-grade rare armament was 100 equipment points and the cheapest B-grade gold armament was 1,000 equipment points. In other words, 12,000 equipment points could be exchanged for 12 of the cheapest gold armaments. Of course the cheapest. It should be a lot, right? Wu Yen sighed. Even though the system update made it easier for him to check, Wu Yen still couldn't get used to it. After all, his thought process was still stuck at the time when a rare armament cost more than 100,000 equipment points. Character: Wu Yen equipment points, 12170 item points, 1270000 ability points, 17,000 summoning points, 2300 level, 79 after checking his current points. Other than summoning points, which were still the same as before, the other 3 points had increased by quite a bit. Compared to the previous value, it had increased a lot. It was enough for Wu Yen to squander. At that moment, Wu Yen first clicked on the ability option in the exchange. Then, he hesitated for a moment when he saw the skills, talent, and lineage options that appeared. He clicked on the skills category. The advantage of a skill-type ability was that it could be learned. It's your own. It would completely imprint the method of usage into the user's mind, becoming the user's memory. With this memory, even if Wu Yen did not have the system, he would still be able to use it. If he were to return to his previous life as an otaku, he would still be able to use this ability. Therefore, when choosing an ability, Wu Yen would first look for the skills category, then the talent category. As for the lineage category, for him who already had the true ancestor's bloodline, it became the ability option with the lowest requirement. After the system update, the values of the skill-type abilities had changed a lot. For example, the complete memory ability that used to require 10,000 ability points now only required 100 ability points. As for the infinite armory, that used to require 150,000 ability points, it had depreciated to 1,500 ability points. The various values had decreased by about 100 times. In other words, the total of 17,000 ability points on Wu Yen was roughly equivalent to 1.7 million ability points from before. Realizing this, Wu Yan's spirit was also lifted. This level of ability points was enough for him to squander. One must know that his true ancestor's bloodline, without the discount of lineage immunity, would require a full 500,000 ability points, which was the current 5,000 ability points. With 17,000 ability points, he could be considered to be quite wealthy. And this was the case when the 5 demigod magic crystals had not been exchanged for ability points. Licking the corner of his mouth, Wu Yen thought of the 5 demigod magic crystals in the ring of gold. His heart was slightly heated. Then he calmed his mind and began to look for an ability that would be useful to him. Wu Yan's current abilities were very complicated. There was the Electromancer, LV5, Superpower, Infinite Armory, True Ancestor's Bloodline, and the Knight Never Died by Bare Hands as backup. Superpowers relied on computing power, Infinite Armory was a skill, and True Ancestor's Bloodline and Knight Never Died by Bare Hands had endless uses. Speaking of which, he still lacked a system ability, such as Combat Chi and Magic Power. Wu Yen also felt that it was time for him to exchange for an ability of the energy system. There were many benefits to having an energy system. For example, the chakra in Naruto could be used to climb trees and walk on water. The chi in the Dragon Ball could be used to strengthen the body and increase attack power. The internal force of the ancient martial arts system could also be used to directly damage the internal organs of the human body. The combat chi and magic power in the Spalier world could also be used to increase various abilities. Moreover, many abilities required the support of energy to be used. For example, combat skills could not be used without combat chi. The same was true for magic, which required magic power to be used. In addition, it could increase one's strength. It was time to exchange for an energy system. Wu Yan's first choice was magic power. because magic power directly corresponded to magic and magic. There were many kinds of magic and magic in the system. There were elemental magic, such as fire, water, wind, thunder, earth, and so on. There were also healing magic, destruction magic, and even high mysterious magic such as inherent enchantments, as well as magic related to space and time. It could be said that magic and magic almost involved all aspects of the field. As long as one understood the knowledge in this field, then in the face of battles and events, it could play a great role. In addition, in Wu Yan's memory, almost every instance where a creature like the true ancestor of vampires existed, as long as it had an energy system, then it was all magic power, and it was very powerful. He believed that magic power should be the most suitable energy system for the true ancestor of vampires. Of course, Wu Yan also asked the system for its opinion, and the system also gave a clear answer. The compatibility between the true ancestor and magic power was the most suitable. Every true ancestor who cultivated magic power could be regarded as a large magic power furnace. A true ancestor not only cultivated magic power with half the effort, but the effect was also surprisingly good, much more powerful than other life units. So Wu Yan looked at the list of abilities in the skills category, and then directly pulled to the option related to magic power. Magic power cultivation method. Basic: a set of basic magic power cultivation method. After cultivation can obtain magic power. The growth of magic power is relatively slow, 1 ability point. Magic power cultivation method. Intermediate: a set of intermediate magic power cultivation method. After cultivation can obtain magic power. The growth of magic power is relatively slow, 10 ability points. Magic power cultivation method. Advanced: a set of advanced magic power cultivation method. After cultivation can obtain magic power. The growth of magic power is relatively fast, 100 ability points. Magic power cultivation method. Ultimate: a set of magic power cultivation method of the highest level. After cultivation can obtain magic power. The growth of magic power is extremely fast, 1000 ability points. Seeing these 4 options, Wu Yan directly clicked on magic power cultivation method, ultimate, without thinking. Ding! Obtained magic power cultivation method, ultimate. When the system notification sounded, Wu Yan's consciousness began to pull away. While in a daze, Wu Yan felt a memory fragment that he had never had before forcibly stuffed into his mind, and was memorized by him. Having already experienced it several times, Wu Yan naturally understood that this memory fragment was the method to use the magic power cultivation method, and immediately began to memorize it. Not long after, a set of very complicated and very mysterious cultivation method was branded into the depths of Wu Yan's mind, and was obtained by Wu Yan. His consciousness swept over this set of magic power cultivation method. Wu Yan held his breath and gently closed his eyes, according to the cultivation method in his memory, began to extract magic power. Similarly, not long after, a faint and somewhat mysterious fluctuation appeared on Wu Yan's body, visible to the naked eye. A surge of air reverberated on the surface of his body, and with a rapid trend, it gradually grew, and did not stop for a long time. Chapter 8:11. It has to be said that a primogenitor's mana cultivation has a huge advantage. In just an hour Wu Yan's mana surged like a tidal wave. It even spread outwards, causing the atmosphere around him to swirl slowly. The effects of true ancestors cultivating mana were exceptionally good. Compared to other life forms, every true ancestor's mana could be said to be very powerful. It was no exaggeration to say that the effects of vampires cultivating mana were definitely at the forefront of all life forms. As the true ancestor of vampires, she was naturally the strongest among the vampires when it came to cultivating magic power. Additionally, Wu Yan's mana cultivation is at the highest level. In just an hour of cultivation, his mana is much greater than Sylph, Kaya, and other magicians who have been cultivating for decades. It's even comparable to a Tier 9 magician who has been cultivating for decades. If Wu Yen continues to cultivate, it's only a matter of time before he becomes the person with the most mana in the spalier world. It's not just the amount of mana, the quality of mana is also great. For energy systems like impetus and mana, the amount and quality of the energy is directly linked to the cultivation method. If the cultivation method is of a lower level, not only will the amount of mana increase be slow, the quality of the mana won't be good either. It requires time to refine and purify the mana. If the cultivation method is of a higher level, it will save a lot of time, and there's no need to refine the quality of the mana. With the highest level of mana cultivation method, the quality of the mana extracted by Wu Yen is of the highest quality. He didn't need to divert his attention to purification, he only needed to concentrate on increasing the amount of mana. This is why the highest level of mana cultivation method requires 1,000 ability points. If converted to the previous value, 1,000 ability points would be equivalent to 100,000 ability points. As time passed, Wu Yan's mana grew larger and larger. A small storm started to form around the room due to the mana fluctuations. It didn't take long for the utensils in the room to be blown all over the place. It's a mess and it's getting bigger and bigger. If this continues, this room will be destroyed sooner or later. He was merely cultivating magic power, yet he could produce such a scene. Of course, it was partly because it was a magic power training method of the highest level, but more importantly, it was practiced by a true ancestor of vampires. In the entire Spalier world, and even the entire Instance Dungeon worlds, there was only one person capable of such a feat. Fortunately, just as the wind was about to evolve into a tornado, the mana fluctuations on Wu Yan's body suddenly slowed down, and the flow of mana gradually shrank into Wu Yan's body. The surrounding wind and waves also weakened. By the time Wu Yan's mana was completely withdrawn into his body, the surroundings had completely calmed down, leaving behind a room as messy as a garbage dump. Utensils were scattered all over the floor, creating a very messy scene. On the bed, Wu Yan gently opened his eyes. In an instant, the pair of wine-red pupils seemed to be suffused with a golden light, accompanied by an indescribable flash of light. The flash was like an illusion. However, the luster in his eyes became even deeper, like a ferocious beast hiding in the abyss. Wu Yan stretched lazily and exhaled in satisfaction as he sensed the tremendous amount of mana flowing through his body. As expected of the energy system most compatible with a true ancestor of vampires. If it were another energy system, I'm afraid that no matter how talented I am, it would take me a year or so to achieve the same effect. Now, Wu Yan only felt one thing, and that was fullness. It wasn't that his body was weak before, but in the past, although his body was called the body of a true ancestor, it was no different from a human's except for its undying nature. It still had a stomach, and all the internal organs were intact. There was nothing extra or missing. Now, with the addition of mana, which was something the human body didn't originally have, it could also enhance his body in various aspects, such as stamina, endurance, and so on. Wu Yan felt a sense of fullness, and it wasn't an illusion. After taking a closer look at the benefits of magic power and the novelty of it, Wu Yan diverted his attention away from it. He looked at the system tab that was still open, and he started checking it again. With mana, how could he not use it? Mana had endless uses in various aspects, but it could only be used to enhance and strengthen the body. To truly show the value of mana, one needed to know how to use it. For example, magic and magic. The magic in the system was different from the magic in the Spalier world. The so-called magic was to use a mysterious method not known to ordinary people to reproduce the things that could be done through human technology with the power of an individual. For example, magicians only needed to use magic to build a tall building. It could be done in just a few seconds, but human technology would take days or even years. This was the power of magic. Another example would be humans making fire. Magicians could also use magic to make fire. The difference was that humans used fire, while magicians could manipulate fire. Usually, humans could also do this. Magicians used magic to construct power to use this mysterious method, which was called magic. In the Spalier world, the ice magic used by Sylph and Lulu, the wind magic used by Kaya, and other types of magic are all magic in the system. Magic, on the other hand, can create miracles that even magic and human technology can't do. For example, it can interfere with time, or it can bring the dead back to life. These are things that humans can't do no matter how much time and resources they have. But magic can. This is also the main difference between magic and magic in the system. To put it simply, what humans can do with technology can be done with mana. This is magic. Something that humans couldn't achieve with their own technology, but with the use of magic, they could achieve a miracle. That was magic. Of course, there are many ways to use mana. It can't only be used for magic or magic. However, these two are the most obvious ways to use mana. That's why Wu Yan chose to use these two mysterious powers. There are so many magic tricks in the system that it's a headache. Wu Yan can't exchange them all at once. The best way is to exchange them all at once. Coincidentally, there's a very subtle ability in the skills category that can do this. 103,000 grimoires. Originally from the Magic Manual. It is a medium of knowledge that contains all sorts of magic tricks, spells, and mystical techniques from all over the world. It can be used as a pure form of knowledge. The user can directly access all the relevant knowledge. However, the source of the knowledge has the side effect of corrupting the user's mind. If used as an ability, the user will be immune to this side effect and gain access to all the information recorded in the 103,000 grimoires. Cost: 15,000 ability points. When Wu Yan saw this ability, he had two feelings. One is that it's strange, and the other is that it's expensive. Strange, of course. 103,000 grimoires. Since it's a grimoire, it should be a physical object. It should be more suitable to be categorized as a tool or equipment. As for how expensive it was, he had reduced his remaining 16,000 ability points to 1,000 ability points. How could that not be expensive? Of course, it's expensive, but he won't have to worry about not having any magic tricks to use. 103,000 grimoires contain all the techniques recorded in the Magic Manual. It's not that Wu Yan can use it, it's just that he can't use it. The introduction also says that 103,000 grimoires are pure knowledge. It's understandable that they can be converted into memories and be used by the user. It's that 15,000 ability points that makes Wu Yan's heart throb. If it hurts, then so be it. It's worth it to be able to get the knowledge inside. Pursing his lips, Wu Yan made up his mind and clicked on the exchange. In the next moment, his mind was suddenly filled with fragments of memories. Chapter 8:12. Phew! After an unknown amount of time, Wu Yan finally opened his eyes. While digesting the memories he received, his eyes were filled with unconcealable exhaustion. It wasn't a pleasant feeling to have an imaginary memory forcibly stuffed into one's head, not to mention that it was 103,000 grimoires. Even if the side effect of polluting one's mind was eliminated because it was a skill ability, the amount of knowledge in it was enough to wrap the entire earth into a rice dumpling if one were to put every single word together. With so many memories in his head, it's already good that he didn't go insane, but exhaustion is inevitable. While he's tired, Wu Yan is also excited. His head is filled with all kinds of magic techniques, his body has magical power, and with the support of the infinite martial arts, Wu Yan doesn't even need to practice. He can just use the magic techniques recorded in the 103,000 grimoires. Other people can't learn such a huge amount of magic in their lifetime. Wu Yan can learn it all just by clicking on the system list a few times. This is the advantage of the system. Now Wu Yan can rely on everything he learned. He doesn't need any superpowers. He doesn't need any other mystical abilities. The current him, even without the system, still has the capital to become strong. 16,000 ability points, it's worth it. Rubbing his forehead, his face, tired and excited at the same time, Wu Yan's expression is very contradictory, but it's the best way to express his mood. After calming down, Wu Yan forced himself to focus. He reached out and clicked on the system list in front of him. Then, next is equipment. Wu Yan has a lot of equipment: Gate of Babylon, Meteor Shower, Fraxinus, Iron Sand, Iron Sand, Iron Sand, Gold Armaments, Iron Sand, and Gold Armaments. In terms of equipment, he doesn't lack any. He wanted to be able to directly increase his strength like an ability. There was no point in simply increasing the number of equipment he had, unless he exchanged them for A-grade equipment, which was a legendary armament. However, Wu Yan had already checked. The cheapest legendary armament cost 100,000 equipment points. With just his 12,000 equipment points, it was not enough. Therefore, Wu Yan needed equipment with special effects. Out of boredom, Wu Yan flipped through the entire exchange list. He removed the equipment that was worth more than the equipment he had and began to read the descriptions one by one. He didn't have much hope, but when he saw an equipment, Wu Yan's hand paused. Magic-breaking Wild Rose, Level B, a relic from Fateful Night. The red spear can nullify the effects of mana. You don't need to release your true name to be effective. Excellent against mana defense. All mana enhancement, defense, and additional abilities will be nullified when they come into contact with the spear. Cost: 3,000 equipment points. Magic nullification. Looking at the magic-breaking Wild Rose's effect in the exchange list, Wu Yan frowned and pondered. The magic-breaking Wild Rose's ability to nullify mana nullification was indeed attractive to Wu Yan. If he had it, then when he encountered an opponent who used mana as an energy system, his opponent would definitely be very tragic. But it was limited to this. Wu Yan didn't live in a world that only used mana nullification as an energy system. He had traveled to many worlds. Among them, there were all kinds of unique mysteries unique to each world, such as combat energy, mana nullification, and super abilities. If it only nullified mana nullification, it would be a little too limited. If, in his heart, an idea kept growing like bamboo shoots after a rain, and it was getting more and more uncontrollable. After repeatedly verifying this sudden idea, Wu Yan raised his head and spoke. System, is there a way to make the magic-breaking Wild Rose's target transition from mana nullification to all super abilities? His voice echoed in the messy room and even reached Wu Yan's ears. Hearing this sentence, even Wu Yan was a little surprised. Did he really come up with such an idea? It seemed that even the system didn't expect Wu Yan to suddenly ask such a question. For a moment, it didn't answer Wu Yan's question. Only when the echo-like voice faded away, the system's voice sounded in Wu Yan's mind. According to the system's judgment, the user's proposal is feasible. Wu Yan was stunned, but when he came back to his senses, he couldn't help but be ecstatic. Really? Tell me what to do. The system slowly said in a cold voice. If you want to change the special effect of the equipment, you will also need to modify the equipment itself. The system can help the user modify the equipment, and according to the requirements, a certain amount of points will be charged. Modify? Wu Yan lowered his head, hesitated for a moment, and then directly said, then modify it. Change the anti-magic effect of magic-breaking Wild Rose to an ability that can break all abilities. Beep. Modify magic-breaking Wild Rose. According to the user's requirements, user will need to pay an additional 7,000 equipment points and 10,000 item points. Do you want to modify it? 7,000 equipment points. 10,000 item points. Wu Yan nodded. Modify it. Beep. Modifying in progress. After the notification, a flashing red spear suddenly appeared in front of Wu Yan, floating in the air. A strange light enveloped the entire spear, as if a large hand was squeezing something, constantly wriggling. As the strange light gradually wriggled, strands of golden lines crawled up from the end of the red spear, like a vine wrapping around the entire spear, until finally the tip of the spear was contained within, then suddenly trembled and disappeared into the spear under Wu Yan's gaze. Ding! Modification complete. Wu Yan's lips curled into an excited grin as he stared at the dark red spear floating in front of him. He extended his hand and grabbed it with one hand. Magic Breaking Wild Rose, modified, B-grade, a red spear that can erase all abilities that do not exist in common sense, after special modification, cannot be exchanged. Looking at the feedback from the system, Wu Yan's smile grew wider and wider, and finally he couldn't help but laugh, perhaps because extreme joy begets sorrow. His body that was sitting steadily on the bed suddenly tilted to one side, and fell off the bed. Bang! Ouch! Wu Yan cried out in pain, but before he could recover, an unknown hard object suddenly fell from the sky, like a urinal, and smashed into his head, making him dizzy. F***ck. Wu Yan cursed, throwing away the urinal on his face. The urinal hit the wall not far away, but bounced back, and smashed into Wu Yan's face again. Wu Yan was shocked, and quickly ducked to avoid it. So unlucky! Wu Yan recalled this scene with lingering fear, looking at the red spear in his hand. Is it because of this? Wu Yan knew that Shangju was so unlucky because he had a phantom killer that could erase all abilities, even his luck. His modification of the magic-breaking Wild Rose was also inspired by the phantom killer. Now, whoever takes you will have ease luck. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Fortunately, he didn't need to throw the spear in the gate of Babylon, or else he would be in big trouble. Since you have the exact same effect, then you should be called the Phantom Killer. Character: Wu Yan. Equipment points: 2170. Item points: 126,000. Ability points: 1000. Summoning points: 2300. Level: 79. Chapter 813. In the villa, several young girls were laughing and playing in the living room. Their pleasant laughter spread everywhere, and it sounded very happy. Even Kurumi, who usually only likes to quietly drink black tea, was playing with Flandre-chan and Yoshino for a while. The joyful atmosphere was obvious. From time to time, the girls would cast their gem-like eyes towards the upper floors of the villa. They would stare at the door of a certain room as if they were anticipating something. They seemed to be enjoying it. It had only been less than half an hour since the girls woke up. However, in this half an hour, each of them had cast their gazes towards the door of that room no less than 10 times. However, they pretended that they didn't care. Wu Yan has been in the room for an entire day. However, Wu Yan showed no signs of coming out of his room. Astria and the others are worried. They suggested calling him out several times, but they were stopped by Shoujo and Kotori. Even though they are worried, they sensed a dense wave of mana fluctuating in the room ever since Wu Yan entered the room. It's getting stronger and stronger. Hinajuku, Kotori, and Kurumi sensed Wu Yan's aura from the mana fluctuation. It's probably Wu Yan's handiwork. Based on Wu Yan's actions yesterday, they deduced that Wu Yan must have exchanged for a new ability and he's currently cultivating it. When he comes out of his room, he'll probably be dead. He will definitely improve by leaps and bounds when he comes out of the room. It's not the right time to wake him up. Kotori would have dragged Wu Yan out of the room otherwise. Since the first day she met Wu Yan, the task of waking him up has always been her younger sister's daily routine. Looks like there's no result for now. After waiting in the hall for a while, Kotori let out a sigh of relief when she saw that there were no other movements apart from the fluctuating mana waves in the upper level of the mansion. She stopped paying attention to the door and started enjoying her dessert. Of course, it's the jewel. Just as Kotori gave up on her observation, the fluctuating mana in the room suddenly expanded. It increased by several times in an instant. The entire mansion shook. Shoujo, Kotori, Astria, Toka, and the others noticed the change. The girls in the living room had a change in expression. They turned their attention to the room above. Along with the spread of this fluctuation, Ikaros's eyes quickly turned and shrunk. In an instant they turned a deep crimson red. Behind her, a pair of pink wings flapped and she flew towards the direction of the room. The other girls came to their senses and rushed towards Wu Yan's room. Under Ikaros's lead, they barged into the room and looked at the direction of Wu Yan's bed. Wu Yan's eyes were closed. Instead of reacting to the invasion of the girls, a surge of magical energy slowly surged in his body and continued to rise. In a very short period of time, it surpassed the previous peak level and continued to rise. They felt Wu Yan's rapidly increasing mana fluctuation. The girls are nervous because they can't tell if this is a good thing or a bad thing. They didn't dare to act rashly. They huddled together as they stared at Wu Yan's figure on the bed. Their bodies tensed up as they stared at Wu Yan's figure. If anything happens, they will rush to Wu Yan's side at the first sign of trouble. The stalemate continued. Wu Yan's mana surged for about 10 minutes. Towards the end, the rate of increase slowed down until it reached a certain peak. Another minute later, the mana stopped expanding and it shrunk back into Wu Yan's body as if it had reached its limit. The mana flow slowly receded back into his body, as if it was being sucked in by a ventilator. As the mana flow receded back into his body, Wu Yan's face became redder and redder. By the time the mana flow receded back into his body, Wu Yan's face was as red as if he just soaked in a hot spring. Then, his face returned to normal. His closed eyes trembled. Finally, under the girls' joyful gazes, Wu Yan's eyes slowly opened. Phew! Exhaling, Wu Yan's face glowed red. He could feel the mana in his body growing several times stronger than before. He couldn't hide the joy on his face. He couldn't help but be overjoyed. It doesn't seem like a bad thing. Kurumi pursed her lips and smiled at Wu Yan's joyful face. At this moment, Wu Yan noticed the girls in his room. He was startled. Blinking his eyes, Wu Yan was surprised. Why are you all here? Hearing this, the girls were all annoyed. You made such a big ruckus and you still have the nerve to ask. Hinajuku rolled her eyes playfully. You really can't stand being lonely. Commotion. Wu Yan scratched his cheek. When he noticed the messy room around him, he roughly understood what happened. He smiled bitterly, making the girls even more annoyed. Kotori looked at Wu Yan and bit the pearl in her mouth. Quite the harvest? Wu Yan curled his lips and nodded. Anyone could tell what he's feeling right now from that look. For an entire day, Wu Yan immersed himself in mana cultivation. He didn't rest for even a second. Naturally, his harvest was great. If at the beginning Wu Yan's mana was a stream, then now, the mana that filled his entire body could be described as an ocean. Under the effects of the highest level of mana cultivation and the body of a true ancestor, Wu Yan's talent was fully displayed. At this time, he could clearly feel that every corner of his body, every cell, every drop of blood, was transmitting excitement and joy. It was like a glutton who had been starving for a long time suddenly ate a few days' worth of food to fill his stomach. He was satisfied. Now Wu Yan finally understood how much he wasted this body in the past. That's why when he started cultivating his mana, his body seems to have accumulated a lot of power, squeezing out all the time he wasted in the past. In just one day, Wu Yan's gains are unimaginable. But this is a good thing. He can only do it once he unlocked the potential of the true ancestor body. From now on, he will have to take it one step at a time. He won't be able to reach the heavens in a single bound. But even so, Wu Yan is very satisfied. Just the amount of mana in his body alone is unimaginably powerful. In terms of quantity, even some demigod mages can't compare to him. As expected of a true ancestor called a mobile mana furnace by the system. Rolling off the bed, Wu Yan contentedly wriggled his body that had been sitting for an entire day. A burst of crackling sounds like beans being crushed rang out. The girls almost thought that Wu Yan's body was made of iron and rusted. Mzr. Seeing Wu Yan get off the bed, Ikaros immediately stepped forward and handed him a loaf of bread. Thank you. Wu Yan seemed to be hungry as well. He took the bread with a smile and took a bite. He then patted Ikaros on the head. Ikaros revealed a look of enjoyment and rubbed her head against Wu Yan's palm. A happy blush appeared on her face. Swallowing all the bread in his hand into his stomach, he licked his fingers as if he still hasn't had enough. He glanced at the girls who were watching him, and after pondering for a bit, he lifted his head. Since everyone is here, it just so happens that I also have something to discuss with all of you. Hearing this, the girls quickly became serious. Wu Yan couldn't help but nod. I think it's time for us to leave this place. Chapter 8:14. Leave this place? Because it was too sudden, the girls couldn't react in time and were all stunned. Wu Yan nodded and he walked to the window. He sighed as he looked at the scenery of the villa district and the arena tower in the distance. Spalier World Academy might be the strongest academy in the Spalier world, but I don't think there's any reason for us to stay here anymore. Wu Yan turned around and he looked at the girls one by one. When we first came here, our strength couldn't be compared to now. At that time, Kotori, Kurumi, Toka, and Yoshino hadn't come to our side. This was the most famous gathering place of the continent's geniuses. Lulu and the others were also here. We came here with the intention of seeing them and improving our strength. But now, Spalier World Academy can't keep up with our progress, they can't meet our requirements. Wu Yan said helplessly. There's no point in staying here any longer and leveling up is a big problem. So, I think it's time for us to leave. Leave? Huh. The girls looked at each other in silence. It's unknown if they were reluctant to leave this place or if they were lost. Well, not all of them are like that. Ikaros quietly walked to Wu Yan's side and tugged at his sleeve. Ikaros will go wherever R goes. Ikaros's simple and gentle words woke up the girls around her. They looked at each other and smiled. Ikaros-senpai is right. Astria jumped to Wu Yan's side. Opposing Ikaros, she also tugged at Wu Yan's other sleeve. Wherever R goes, Astria goes too. Flan too. Flan too. Flandra-chan jumped into Wu Yan's embrace, not wanting to be left out. Oni-chan, you can't leave Flan behind. Why you still have me? Yoshino came over timidly. You guys. Wu Yan shook his head. But he couldn't help but smile. Ora. Stop surrounding Shoujo. Ikaros and the others leaned on Wu Yan intimately. Toka got jealous. She stomped her feet and yelled. I won't leave Shoujo either. Don't leave me behind. She yelled. Toka pounced on Wu Yan. She overloaded Wu Yan's body. Bam! Both of them fell to the ground. Hinajuku, Kotori, and Kurumi couldn't help but bitterly chuckle. He said he's leaving. Hinajuku stepped forward and helped Flandra-chan and the four sisters up. She turned to Wu Yan. Where are we going? Do you have a destination? Wu Yan grinned and waved his hand. Let's go to the behemoth forest first. Mikoto and the others are still there. What about that Fei-Fei-senpai? Kotori tapped her finger. Aren't you close with them? It's not good to leave just like that, right? Well. Wu Yan shrugged. Of course we have to tell them before we leave so they can't find us. Fei-Fei-senpai is fine, but Lulu is a different story. It won't be a joke if things get out of hand. Thinking about Lulu's personality, Hinajuku felt a headache coming. Do you need us to go with you? No need. Wu Yan shook his head. See if there's anything you guys need to pack. Go prepare some food as well. Get everything ready. The girls nodded in agreement. Wu Yan looked at the girls and nodded with a smile. Mana surged out of his body and enveloped Wu Yan. Under the girls' shocked gazes, a purple magic formation rippled beneath Wu Yan's feet. Then Wu Yan disappeared from the spot. It disappeared. Astria and the others gasped. A new ability? Shoujo turned to Kotori. Kotori stared at the spot where Wu Yen disappeared. When Wu Yen disappeared, she felt a ripple similar to a spatial quake. However, it was much milder and less violent. A spatial ability? Kurumi licked her lips and smiled wickedly. Interesting. Spalier World Academy, Fatal Forest Headquarters. In a room on the top floor, Feifei is sitting on a chair. She's wiping Night Elf with a clean white cloth. She's taking care of her beloved sword. Lulu is lying on the sofa beside her. She's kicking her legs lazily. At a certain moment, Feifei, who was wiping her sword, suddenly stopped. Her pupils shrunk and she stood up abruptly, giving Lulu a big fright. She pointed the Night Elf in her hand forward and said coldly, "What are you doing?" "Who is it?" Feifei said. Space rippled and a figure appeared. Wu Yen appeared in front of the two girls. "Yo!" Wu Yen waved his hand at the two girls who are still in a daze. "Feifei, you have sharp senses." "Yen." Feifei put away Night Elf and stared at Wu Yan's face. She said hesitantly, "You just... that." "Oh, that." Wu Yen curled his lips. "That's spatial manipulation magic. I just learned it recently." "Spatial manipulation magic?" "Yes, it's magic." Wu Yen walked over to Lulu and sat down beside her. Lulu finally reacted to the situation and she exclaimed, "Why are you here? Why did you come all of a sudden?" Wu Yen frowned and grabbed Lulu's face. "Sorry. That's how I suddenly came here. Space control magic." Feifei frowned. She shook her head as if she couldn't get over it. She looked at Wu Yen. "Do you need something from me?" Wu Yen stopped his hand from Lulu and nodded. "I'm leaving." "Leaving?" Feifei and Lulu exclaimed at the same time. "Why are you leaving?" Feifei's expression turned serious. She stared at Wu Yen. "Did something happen? Did someone bully you?" Lulu was anxious. "If someone bullies you, tell me. I'll teach them a lesson for you." "Ha ha." Wu Yen laughed dryly. "Thank you so much. Unfortunately, it's not." "Then why did you leave?" Lulu grabbed Wu Yan's arm and hugged him with all the strength she could muster. "Isn't it good to be here? Did I make you angry? Let me apologize." Seeing Lulu's anxious expression, Wu Yen felt pity for her and rubbed her head. "It's not like that. It's just that we can't improve much in the Spalier World Academy. That's why we want to go out and explore." Then, Lulu's eyes were filled with tears. "Then I'll go with you." "This. All right, Lulu." Feifei, who had been silent all this while, raised her head and took Lulu's hand. "You're not strong enough yet. If you go with them, you'll only be a burden." "Feifei." Lulu looked at Feifei and finally couldn't hold back her tears. She threw herself into Feifei's arms and sobbed. "Lulu, don't cry." Wu Yen smiled bitterly and comforted her. "It's just leaving the academy. It's not like we'll never see each other again." But, Lulu sobbed and said, "I'll miss you guys so much." Wu Yen was speechless when he heard Lulu's words. Wu Yen sighed and rubbed Lulu's head. "I'll keep in touch with you at all times. If you miss us, come and find us when you've become stronger." "Really?" Lulu lifted her tear-stained face from Feifei's arms and looked at Wu Yen. "You can't lie to me. Don't worry." Wu Yen smiled gently. "I won't lie to you." Wu Yen looked at Feifei. Feifei nodded at Wu Yen. There was no reluctance in her eyes, only understanding. "Be careful." "Okay." Wu Yen clenched his fist. "Don't worry." Chapter 8:15. A piece of news slowly spread through the Spalier World Academy. The content of the message was very simple. Although it was simple, it made every student who heard it feel extremely shocked. The strongest student right now, Wu Yen, along with a group of girls beside him, applied for graduation. Graduation, this word wasn't unfamiliar. In the Spalier World Academy, there were students who graduated every year. There was a rule in the academy: students above the age of 25 were not allowed to stay in the academy. Students above the age of 25 were required to take the graduation test. If they passed, they would graduate; if they failed, they would be expelled. Regardless of whether it was the students who participated in the graduation test before reaching the age of 25, or those who were still unable to pass the graduation test at the age of 25, these two types of people were born every year in the academy. However, there was no one who took the initiative to apply for graduation and participate in the graduation test before reaching the age of 25. This was to be expected. Silveria World Institute was the only institute in the world. It was a joint venture between the 3 empires and the 9 great houses. Here, resources from all over the world could be found. There was nothing you couldn't think of, but nothing you couldn't find. With the support of these resources, the students of Silveria World Institute would grow much faster than if they were training in other places. It's not wrong to call the institute the cradle of the strong. Many students covet the rare resources here. Even if they're strong enough, they would still choose to stay here. That's because this is where growth is the fastest. Never graduate before the age of 25. In the academy, this was already an unspoken rule. And now, Wu Yan and the others had silently broken this rule before anyone knew about it. Countless students looked at each other. They couldn't help but speculate in their hearts. This group of people. He's really doing something that surprises people all the time, huh? As for the final result of the graduation test, there was no need to look at it. In the academy, according to the level of the students, the difficulty of the graduation test also varied, but the difficulty was relatively fixed. Ordinary students, as long as they had the strength of the 6th rank, passing the graduation test wasn't a problem. Elite students, as long as they had the strength of the 7th rank, passing the graduation test wasn't a problem either. The graduation test for special students was of the highest difficulty. However, one only needed to have the strength of the upper 7th step. In that case, passing the graduation test was just a matter of time. In Wu Yan's group, everyone's strength was at least at the 8th level, and the 2 of them would usually only run around the academy. He hadn't seen how they cultivated, but the strength of these beautiful little girls had once shocked all the students. With that level of strength, it shouldn't be a problem for them to participate in the graduation test. Of course, the leaders of the factions who already knew Flandrachan's true strength were an exception. They could only grumble in their hearts. I hope the examiners who helped Flandrachan don't get scared out of their wits. The final result was just as everyone had expected. Wu Yan's group of 9 had all passed the graduation test. For the past few months, Silveria World Institute has been in chaos. Today, the student who broke the rules officially announced his graduation. Countless students heaved a sigh of relief, but at the same time, they also felt an indescribable sense of emptiness. This was because they knew that without this group of people, the excitement in the academy would be reduced by a lot. They would also return to a few months ago, their normal daily life in the academy. Everyone has passed the graduation test. Jaffer, who hadn't seen in a while, looked at the report placed in front of him. He clenched his bear-like paws and stared straight at it. A trace of unwillingness flashed through his eyes. His battle with Wu Yan during the tournament ended in a draw, but anyone with a discerning eye could tell that he was the one who lost. After losing to Wu Yan, Jaffer had been cultivating like crazy, all for the sake of one day defeating Wu Yan with his own hands and taking back everything he'd lost. But now, the man he'd set as his goal was about to leave this place. The gap between him and Wu Yan didn't decrease in the slightest. In fact, it was getting bigger and bigger. Even the head of the Lori family, Lar, admitted that he wasn't confident he could beat Wu Yan if he went up against him. Jaffer couldn't accept this, he couldn't accept it. Although he'd improved recently, it was nothing compared to Wu Yan. Plus, he had a feeling, he and Wu Yan were no longer in the same dimension. Bam! Jaffer smashed the table in front of him into pieces. His eyes were bloodshot and he was panting heavily. He screamed in his heart. No, I haven't seen his true strength with my own eyes. I won't admit it. Jaffer lifted his head, turned around and walked out the door. Is that so? She's leaving? Ka, who had his back facing Jaffer, was still standing straight when he heard the news from his confidant. However, a bitter smile slowly bloomed on his face. Miss Ikaros is leaving as well? Thinking of this, Kaya felt an unbearable pain in his heart. Along with the pain, there was also a strange sense of jealousy. Yes, jealousy. He knew that no matter what that man said, this angel who made his heart throb for the first time would do it without hesitation. This wasn't the first time Kaya had seen this with his own eyes. As smart as he was, he naturally knew that in Ikaros' heart, there was only one man. But even though he knew this, he couldn't stop himself from loving that angelic girl. He'd been lying to himself until now, trying to avoid this reality. Even now, Ka still couldn't forget the beautiful scene of Ikaros spreading her wings and soaring into the sky, bathing in her feathers and radiance. Now, she's leaving with that man. Will I ever have the chance to see her again? Thinking of this, Kaya clenched his fists tightly and gnashed his teeth so hard that cracking sounds could be heard. At a certain point, Ka lifted his head. Let's go. To the villa area. Inside a luxurious room, an icy blue figure sat on an office chair. There were all sorts of documents in front of her, but she didn't even glance at them. Instead, her eyes were closed. Mana flowed around her body. It's obvious she's cultivating. After an unknown amount of time, the fluctuating magical energy flow began to shrink back into her body. The icy blue magical energy rendered her originally cold face even closer to the freezing point. However, that incomparably exquisite and beautiful face caused others to involuntarily cast their gazes on her body, their faces filled with amazement and enchantment. Even though Snow Song, one of the 3 royal organizations under Sylph's command, only accepts female members, the members here are all female. However, all of them are deeply in love with their leader, just like the female members of Starlight Queen. In their eyes, other than their idol, they don't care about anyone else. Only the members of Snow Song and Starlight Queen have this kind of obsession. In the entire Spalier world, only the members of Snow Song and Starlight Queen have this kind of obsession. From this, one can see how skillful Sylph and Shokuho Misaki are. Under the admiring gazes of her subordinates, Sylph opened her eyes and sensed the magical energy in her body. She nodded in satisfaction. Then, she seemed to have thought of something and her icy blue eyes dimmed a little. She opened her mouth and asked, "What's the matter? Has he left?" The people around her looked at each other. They knew who Sylph was referring to. Their eyes flashed with anger, but they still stepped forward. If it's Lord Wu Yen, he's probably preparing to leave. Sylph's eyes flashed and she fell silent. Nobody knows what she's thinking about. After a while, she stood up and walked outside. The other members of Snow Song quickly followed after her. At the same time, the various major powers within the academy also moved towards the villa district due to their own thoughts. Chapter 8:16. Wu Yen and a group of girls stood in front of a mansion. Feifei and Lulu were standing opposite them. They were here to send them off. You. Lulu wiped her snot and tears off her face. Big drops of tears flowed down her face like they were worthless. She has been in this state for half an hour. Lulu cried for half an hour, but she was still energetically wiping her tears away. The others around her felt powerless. It was as if they were the ones who used up all the energy in Lulu's crying. Everyone's face was as pale as a tomato. Just how sad must this girl be to cry like this? Kotori didn't even have the strength to bite the pearl. Her lips twitched as she looked at Lulu. Although she had heard about Lulu's deeds before, she didn't expect it to be like this when she actually faced it with her own eyes. She finally understood why when people mentioned Lulu, their faces would be filled with a mixture of love and hate. I don't hate this type. Kurumi touched her chin with her finger and added another sentence. But isn't she crying a little too long? Yeah. She's right. Lulu kept crying, so they had to stay here and comfort her. If they couldn't comfort her, they wouldn't be able to leave. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is you. Wah! Astria and Toka hugged Lulu and cried their hearts out. Everyone felt their energy dissipating faster. Astria-chan, Taika-chan. Chuju's eyebrows twitched. She forced a smile and said, "Why are you crying so hard?" Huh! Astria and Toka looked at Hinajuku in confusion. There were still 2 streaks of tears on her face. While sobbing, she pouted and said an answer that made people fall head first to the ground. I don't know. No. I don't know. Kotori said calmly. You don't even know why you're crying. Why are you crying so hard? Ugh. Ugh. Astria and Toka bit on a handkerchief. She wiped her cheeks and looked at Lulu in front of her. We don't know why, but we feel like crying when we see Lulu crying. Lulu nodded in agreement with tears on her face. The 3 girls looked at each other and burst into tears again. Wah! They hugged each other tightly. It felt like they would be best friends for life. Wu Yan, Fei Fei, and the other girls didn't know what to say. They could only shrug their shoulders dryly. Looking at the 3 girls who looked like they were going to cry for another half an hour, they didn't even have the energy to retort. I say. Hinajuku raised her hand tiredly. Are they going to keep crying? Don't say something like that. Kotori shuddered. She abruptly pushed Wu Yan, who had an awkward expression on his face, away. Don't just stand there, help me think of something. I don't want to stand here and watch them cry. Being pushed in a hurry, Wu Yan didn't have time to react and stumbled a couple of times. He almost fell into the arms of the 3 girls. He quickly steadied himself and used the momentum to get in front of the 3 girls. He smiled awkwardly. Shouldn't we stop? If this continues, it will be dark by the time we reach the behemoth forest. The 3 girls' cries quieted down a bit. They turned their teary faces towards Wu Yan. They looked at him like he's some kind of scum that's lost a lot of people. Wu Yan's scalp went numb. That's enough. Fei Fei couldn't stand it anymore. She walked up and pulled Lulu away from Astria and Toka. They're just going out for an adventure, they're not going to die. Don't you think it's bad luck if you cry like that? Fei Fei's words were obviously effective. Lulu shut her mouth. Her shoulders were still twitching, but she didn't dare to cry anymore. She was afraid that something bad might happen if she cries. Astria and Toka also pouted. She didn't dare to cry, but she couldn't stop her tears from flowing down her cheeks. She looked like a typical crying cow, and everyone couldn't help but laugh when they saw her crying. It's about time. Wu Yan looked up at the sky. He looked at Fei Fei and Lulu with a gentle smile. Well, I'm sure we'll meet again. You have to work hard, don't let us shake you off. Of course not. Lulu pouted her lips in dissatisfaction. Fei Fei's lips also curled into a smile. I know you guys are improving at an alarming rate. I don't dare to say I can surpass you, but it won't be that easy to shake me off. Hearing this, everyone smiled. That's the real Fei Fei. Wu Yan praised. He scratched his cheek and walked up to Lulu. He hugged her. Lulu's eyes widened and a strong masculine scent wafted from the tip of her nose, making her little face blush instantly. You're not young anymore. Don't give Fei Fei trouble. Wu Yan patted Lulu's head and smiled. Of course not. Lulu said the same thing, but this time, her tone was very soft. Wu Yan shook his head and laughed. He let go of Lulu and looked at Fei Fei. He opened his arms and smiled. Fei Fei, don't you want to give me a goodbye hug too? Fei Fei blushed. She pursed her lips and said helplessly, You Despite her helpless words, Fei Fei hesitated for a bit before she walked up to Wu Yen with a blushing face. She hugged him lightly. Wu Yen giggled and the girls behind him curled their lips in annoyance. Then, Wu Yen let go of Fei Fei and stepped in front of the girls. See you next time. Okay. Fei Fei and Lulu nodded. Just as Wu Yen was about to summon Fraxinus, a voice rang out and stopped him. Wait! Outside the villa area, a group of students in various uniforms surrounded a group of leaders with an extraordinary aura. In an instant, the entire villa was surrounded. What's going on? Fei Fei and Lulu were shocked. Wu Yen and the rest frowned. Behind him, some students are still rushing over, filling up the encirclement with people. The students surrounding the villa parted ways and a few leaders came out to stand in front of Wu Yen. They are the leaders of the 12 factions. Sylph, Kaya, and Jaffer stood at the front. What are you guys doing? Fei Fei could not help but pull a long face. Wu Yen narrowed his eyes and shrugged. Such a big fuss. Could it be that they're here to send us off? Wu Yen. Jaffer was the first to step out. He stared at Wu Yen with a pair of bare eyes and spoke with a thunderous voice. I know you're planning to graduate and leave. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for us to meet again. That's why I want to challenge you. Jaffer yelled with a terrifying aura. I won't let you leave until you defeat me for real. What? Fei Fei and Lulu cried out in shock. The students around them also started a commotion. They didn't expect something like this to happen. Count me in as well. Ka walked up to Jaffer and he bitterly smiled at Wu Yen. He glanced at Ikaros who was standing behind him. Based on the outcome of today's battle, I will have to make some decisions. Kaya said as he stared at Wu Yen. Can you make me give up? Wu Yen got the gist of what these two are thinking. He looked at the two princes standing side by side and he closed his eyes. The surroundings were silent. What a bunch of stubborn fellows. Wu Yen sighed and looked up. Fine. I accept. Chapter 8:17. Spalier World Academy, first floor of the Arena Tower. Normally, only the lowest-ranked students would be here. Today, however, it's filled with a sea of people. As far as the eye could see, the normal and elite students had practically filled the entire spacious floor. At the very front of the circle was a group of special students dressed in gold-trimmed white uniforms. All the students let out shouts, cheers, and clamors. Their eyes were filled with fanaticism as they looked at the arena surrounded by them. They were like star chasers as they shouted crazily, causing the entire first floor of the Tower of Tournament to tremble with their loud voices. No, it's not just students. Above the walls of the first floor, there's a circle of buildings that look like observation towers. It's built specifically for the Academy's higher-ups to observe the students' performance in the arena tower. At this moment, there's a group of faint figures moving around in the observation towers. If you look closely, you'll see that it's also filled with people. Those figures are all the Academy's teachers and higher-ups. Even the teachers and higher-ups are here to watch the upcoming battle. It's easy to imagine how high the level of this battle is going to be. At the side of the central stage, Ka and Jaffer tapped the ground in front of everyone. Their bodies flashed and appeared on the stage. They turned their heads and looked down at Wu Yen, who's surrounded by girls. Their eyes are filled with battle intent. As the two went up on stage, the students below the stage became even more fanatical. Cheers rose from all directions and the deafening screams almost instantly became one. Below the stage, Wu Yen couldn't help but wrinkle his nose when he saw the situation. He felt very helpless. He feels like he's been living under a lot of people's gazes lately. The girls next to him are all looking at Wu Yen. It's very obvious. They only care about what Wu Yen will do next. The people around them were completely ignored by them. Wu Yen calmed himself down and disappeared. He suddenly vanished on the spot, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of Kaya and Jaffer. Ka and Jaffer's pupils shrank. The fighting spirit in his eyes did not decrease but instead increased, but the expression on his face became more and more serious. When the audience below the stage saw Wu Yan coming to the stage, they immediately shouted excitedly. They craned their necks forward and opened their eyes wide, afraid that they would miss a second of the scene. The battle between the top students of the Spalier World Academy. There was no one who did not want to watch such a battle. Kaya was the leader of the 3 royal families in the academy and the prince of the Faya Empire. If nothing went wrong, the next emperor of the Faya Empire would be him. Jafar was also the leader of the 3 royal families and the prince of the Baruba Empire. He was also the next emperor of the Baruba Empire. Both of them, who had many identities, were challenging a common man without any identity or background. Just this title alone was enough to arouse the interest of most people. Of course, most people came here to witness Wu Yan's true strength, including the Academy's higher-up. In just a few short months, Wu Yan's name became a legend in the Spalier World Academy. The strongest student in the Academy less than half a year ago. Who could do it? Many of them saw Wu Yan and Jafar's fight during the tournament, so they knew Wu Yan had the strength to rank among the top few students. However, it didn't take long for Wu Yan to become number 1 on the ranking board. He became one of the strongest students. At that time, the strongest student was Astria. When Wu Yan and Astria fought, only the higher-ups of the academy were there as witnesses. Outsiders didn't even know that the fight took place. Thus, they didn't know how Wu Yan got the title of strongest student. Plus, Astria is Wu Yan's confidant. If it wasn't for the fact that the changes in the rankings are approved by the referees of the academy, they would have suspected Wu Yan of using some sort of method to cheat. Now that Wu Yan is fighting against Kaya and Jafar, it's a chance for everyone to see Wu Yan's true strength. Looking at the crowd below the stage, Wu Yan couldn't help but shake his head. Isn't this commotion a bit too big? On the other hand, Kaya and Jafar didn't share the same sentiment as Wu Yan. They came here to cause a ruckus. I've always wanted to spar with you, but I never had the chance. Kaya narrowed his eyes. His lips curled into an eager smile. Today, I can finally make up for that regret. Is that so? Wu Yan raised an eyebrow. I hope you won't regret it later. Losing in front of so many people will damage your reputation. Reputation? Kaya smiled bitterly. Your reputation is much greater than mine. It'll damage your reputation if you lose. After saying that, Kaya turned to Jafar. I'll go first? No. Jafar puffed out his chest. I'll go first. Let me go first. It was rare for Kaya to show his aggressive side, contrary to his usual modesty. I have a personal grudge with him that needs to be resolved. Jafar looked straight at Ka and said in a deep voice, I have a personal grudge with him. I want to fight him in his best condition, so I have to go first. So I'm here to take advantage of him. It won't matter anyway. You should go first. You're the one who should go first. No. It's you. You've already fought him once. That's 2 different things. Don't talk about it like that. Are you going to go first or not? No way. The crowd's voices gradually died down. The crowd was speechless. Kaya and Jafar were bickering like children on the stage. Everyone's jaws dropped to the floor. They're fighting over the right to go first? Are they still the humble and polite Prince Kaya and the domineering Prince Jafar? Ha ha! Hinajiku couldn't help but laugh. These 2 people are surprisingly cute. The girls nodded in unison. Even Fei Fei and Lulu had the same look in their eyes. Wu Yan couldn't stay calm either. It looks like the 2 of them are going to start a fight before fighting him. He rubbed his forehead and reached out his hand. Stop fighting. Let's fight together. The air froze. Kaya and Jafar narrowed their eyes. Their gazes toward Wu Yan turned hostile. Wu Yan shrugged helplessly. Don't look at me like that. I'm not looking down on you. Wu Yan crossed his arms and sighed. I'm sure you know better than anyone else that you don't stand much of a chance against me in a one-on-one fight. I don't think you want to lose too soon, right? In order to achieve the fundamental purpose of this battle in your hearts, Don't you think that joining hands is the best way? Kaya and Jaffer were stunned by Wu Yan's words. They fell silent. No matter how unwilling they are, they have to admit that it's the best way to go. The two looked at each other and saw the strange look in each other's eyes. They turned to look at Wu Yan and said something in a low voice. Don't regret it, regret? Wu Yan grinned. He grinned so hard his eyes squinted. He lifted his leg and stomped on the ground. Ding! A clear and melodious bell rang. A red magic formation spun out from under Wu Yan's feet. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped Wu Yan's body. At the same time, a thick flame rose from the void. It slowly rose like a wall of fire. It covered the entire space behind Wu Yan. It floated there, emitting a terrifying heat and pressure. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Wu Yan's eyes flashed with a bright light. I hope you don't regret it,